Hey, everybody. All
Hello.
right. So we're going to go ahead and start the show again. We should probably introduce ourselves. My name's Melissa.
So,
And all right. So we're going to go ahead and start the show while we're seeing if anyone's going to come in with our WTF moment. But first, I'm going to give you a quick update on Carly Russell, which is basically that there is no update. Um, the latest news article that I found that was written not that long ago had all the same information. The only thing that was different was that the two misdemeanors that she has been charged with carry up to a 1 year jail sentence. So, no court date, no sentencing date, no nothing as of yet, just that. So, anyway, let's go on with today's WTF moment, which is that a Utah man is suspected of threatening Biden. Oh, hold on. A Utah man suspected of threatening Biden is shot and killed as FBI served warrant. So I'm going to kind of read my synopsis and then we'll discuss it. So, special agents were trying to serve a warrant on the home of Craig DeLu Robertson in Provo, South Salt Lake City when I cannot speak today. When the shooting happened at 6:15 a.m. and this happened on Wednesday, I believe. Um,
yeah, I think so.
Robertson was armed at the time of the shooting, according to two law enforcement sources. Robertson posted online Monday that he had heard Biden was coming to Utah and he was planning to dig out a camouflage suit and begin cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle, a post that came after months of graphic online threats against several public figures, according to court documents. Robertson referred to himself as a MAGA Trumper. I don't know, a reference to former President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again slogan, and also posted threats against top law enforcement officials overseeing court cases against Trump. Neighbors described Robertson as a frail elderly man. His online profile put his age at 74, who walked with the aid of a hand carved stick. Though he regularly carried guns, they said that he didn't seem a threat. There's no way he was driving from here to Salt Lake City, setting up a rifle and taking a shot at the president. 100% no way, said a neighbor, Andrew. I don't know how to say the last name. Outside the church across from Robertson Street. All right. I started this because I was originally not going to put this in, but I felt like it kind of was important to the story. So the attack comes as Republicans who have traditionally touted themselves as the party of law and order have escalated their attacks on law enforcement and especially the FBI. Trump has relentlessly attacked the agency, even though it is led by someone he appointed, Christopher Wray. Ray, that's probably wrong, but whatever, himself has warned of the dangers of recent I don't know. I really should learn probably. Some officials have become increasingly alarmed as the former president has escalated his attack on the FBI, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and the local and federal prosecutors who have filed 3 separate criminal cases against him in the recent months. Then it goes on to say Robertson posts indicated he did appear to own a long-range sniper rifle and numerous other weapons, as well as a camouflage gear known as a ghillie suit. Investigators said in court records Robertson was charged under seal Tuesday with 3 felony counts, including making threats against the president against FBI agents, including investigating him, court documents show. No further details were immediately released about the shooting, which is under review by the FBI. So let's talk about let's talk about it real quick. I'll let you give your thoughts and opinions first, and then I'll express mine.
Well, it's like, to me, it kind of sounds like he wanted like some sort of a suicide by cop kind of thing. Doesn't really matter like what neighbors are saying or anything like that. And it's like you always hear that in the news when stuff like this happens. Family and friends come out of the woodwork like, oh, they were the nicest person. They never would have done anything like that. And it's like it doesn't matter. It's like they did. Okay. They did. And it's like your child wasn't the honor student you thought they were. They weren't the honor roll child that you thought you had. Your child effed up. Okay. It
Mhm.
happens. It happens. Okay. People can make mistakes and it can get them in some pretty deep crap. And this dude, he posted online. People know what happens when you post that kind of stuff online. It's not something that, you know, you don't post something like that online and not expect, you know,
Mhm.
especially when it's the president. You
Yeah.
know, you don't post that the president's coming, hey, I'm going to go dust my rifle off and then go out in like a ghillie suit
Right.
and see what happens.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't go out like that and not expect, people to come out with their own freaking rifles and fire at you.
Right.
And then for the neighbors to be like, why would they do that? He was the
Right.
nicest man. No, suicide by cop. That's what I'm thinking there.
Well, I I don't necessarily agree suicide by cop, but I also don't agree with his actions. First off, he shouldn't have said what he said. But I think,
Oh, no,
first
no.
of all, who serves a warrant at 6 something in the morning? That's not even normal business hour times, and most warrants are served during normal business hour times. Don't ask me how I know. I've never been served a warrant, but I have had to go with a cop to serve a warrant when I worked at the rental agency, which we'll talk about later. But so that right there was kind of off to me. And then he's like an elderly man. They just said he had a gun. They never specified he was threatening with the gun. They never we're probably not even supposed to say that word. We probably should say pew pews, but they never specified anything other than that he had the weapon. And so here's my whole thing is why did he have to be killed? Why couldn't you just apprehend him and bring him in if you thought he was that much of a threat? Why did it have to end in a death? He's already in his 70s, so you know, what was the point behind it? I guess is what I'm trying to say. I
But,
feel I
like, we don't know what happened, though. We don't know
and
how it escalated.
here's why I think this article would have been better for next week, because the only sources we have are from the FBI. There's no eyewitnesses to it. Again, probably a good thing on their part because they served a warrant at 6 something in the morning. Whereas if they would have done it when you're supposed to serve a warrant, there might have been more witnesses to it. So I'm
Well, the
thinking
FBI
that
might serve warrants all through the day. They may
this
not
this
know, but
this is what my thinking is. They went in and they took care of the problem, kind of like the CIA would have done. So that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to, get flagged and this get shut down. But anyway, we're at our 10-minute mark. So that's it for the WTF moment. If you have anything else that you want to add, leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear your theories on this as well. All right. So we're going to jump into what this episode's about, which is our past jobs. And I don't know if Crystal wrote all hers down, but I wrote mine down. And if I got them all I had 30.
Jesus, girl.
And one of them, I don't remember the name of it, and I'm hoping Crystal does, but when we get to that, I'll ask her. But I mean, should we kind of list off the jobs we've had first, and then we'll go into like the questions part of it so that they know kind of what they're working with here? Or how do you think we should go about it?
Sorry, I had to look at my phone. Now, what were you like? Should we
Should
go
we
back?
each list off our jobs that we've had first and then go into the questions so that they know which jobs we've had so they can kind of know a reference point at during the questions?
Um, or do you want to like? Do you want to see like if there's any that we shared, and then go like maybe discuss our experiences, or?
Well, I think if we list them all off first, we can like kind of pinpoint which ones we both worked at, and then we can talk about those more in depth and then go from there.
Okay.
If that makes sense, rather than, because if we're listing them off, we'll know which ones we shared at that point. Not that we necessarily worked at them at the same time together, but that we both worked at that location, like that restaurant or that place, or you know what I mean?
Okay. I didn't write mine down because I didn't have that many, but I think I remember all the ones that I had. I honestly did not have that many, so.
Okay, so why don't you go first since I have so many?
Okay.
I know at least 4 of yours, so
That's what I was thinking. It's like you might be able to correct me if I miss one. So,
okay.
because I'm pretty sure I know all of mine. The years I'd probably be a little bit fudgy on,
No,
but
we don't care about years.
yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure I know all of mine. So my very first job was Burger King. That was my first one. And then let's see, Burger King went into McDonald's, I believe. And then there was Kohl's. And from Kohl's, I went to Best Buy.
Nope.
Oh, never mind. From Kohl's, I went to Ricker's.
Yep.
And from Ricker 1 to Ricker 2. And then there was Best Buy.
Yeah. Okay. So again, mine, if I didn't miss any, and I did put them in order of which I remember. So my very first job was KFC, and then I went to Kroger, Walmart, Steak and Shake, Wendy's, Topics newspaper, the Indianapolis Star, McDonald's, Normal Life, King Systems, Walgreens, Payless Shoes, Taco Bell, Domino's, AMPM/Rickers, Speedway. Then there was a shoe store in Anderson. I can't remember the name of it. So if you remember it, you can let me know. And then at the same time I worked at that shoe store, I also got a job at a rental company, which
Payless?
no, it wasn't Payless. It was a different one. Their logo was like red and white. Then after the rental company, I worked for HTC. I don't remember the actual company, but they were a call center for HTC phones. Then I worked at Universal Studios in Florida. Then back to Indiana, I worked at TJ Maxx. Then back to Florida, I worked at Pizza Hut, Wawa, Michael's, a company called WIS. Then back to Indiana, I worked at Xerox, Ace Hardware, back to Florida. I worked at the vet clinic, Zaxby's, and then I was a substitute teacher last. So,
Was it Shoe Carnival?
no, it wasn't Shoe Carnival. I think the company's out of business now.
Red Wing? Red Wing?
No, it wasn't Red Wing because they sold men's, women's, children. It was like almost a Payless and a Shoe Carnival, but it wasn't. I can probably Google it while we start.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, we've already kind of discussed this one. What was your first job? Um, Mine was KFC. I was 15 when I started working.
Mine was Burger King.
And
I was out of high school. I was going into college when I worked at Burger King.
so you got lucky. You got to wait until you were an adult to work.
Yeah, my parents didn't make me work.
Mine didn't technically make me. They just said if I wanted to buy crap, I needed to have a job.
Did you say that it was in Noblesville,
What?
the shoe store?
No, it was in Anderson. Um, I know it's not that important, but it's really bothering me that I can't remember. Oh, Famous Footwear. That's what it was. I just
Oh
thought it
yeah.
was
Okay,
Famous Footwear. Okay.
okay.
So anyway, not that that was important.
No,
So yeah, I wasn't. I wanted a bunch of crap. My parents again didn't have a crap ton of money when I was younger, and so if I wanted anything outside of what they are responsible for as parents, I had to work. And I thought I needed to have everything in the world. I wish I was smarter back then and would have saved my money, but I wasn't. So yes, KFC. um, let's kind of see which one should we do next. This one I think would be a good one. Which was the easiest to get?
probably McDonald's. Um, Burger King, like I got fed up with it because the management staff, and this is like a segue off of like how I got into McDonald's, but seriously, Burger King like really like the management. We had a management switch to where one store like the stores completely like switched everything over, and I hated it so much because I loved the management staff that I started with, and then I got this whole new management staff, and I could not stand them because the new management did not work. They didn't want to work, and they made like the employees do most of the work while the management just sat around and did have practically nothing. And so, like, there was a day where like I was in there and they were practically making me do everything. You know, like I was like usually the counter person or something, and when I was counter, I had to do like the front counter and then take care of the dining area, which I was fine with because that's usually what the counter person does. Counter person cleans the dining area. That's what you do. When you work drive through, you take care of the drive through area. You know, you push out the drive through food. You bag the drive through orders and you send them out. And so that's what you do. And so you take care of your area. But on this day, you know, they had me prepping food. They had me pushing drive through orders. They had me cleaning the dining area. Like there wasn't a counter person. Like there wasn't a drive through person. Like it was just me. And the manager was sitting on her butt in the freaking, you know, management room. And so I'm like, no. And so when the head manager came in the next day, I was like, I'm done. I quit. 2 weeks notice. And she's like, I just won't put you in the next schedule because she asked me what happened and I told her. And I was like, you can look at the cameras, you can see. Because I had to go clean a restroom and everything because there was an overflow and it was me who had to go do it. I don't know why. and
So you went to McDonald's and
basically I just go to McDonald's, I walk in the door and I asked, you know, for an application, and she just was like, oh hey, we're in the middle of like hiring people, so go sit down and just fill out the like just go and like pick out a uniform. And she's like, we'll worry about the application later. So it was literally like I walked in the door, and because I think I had been without a job for a while, because I think I went without a job until after my dad passed away. because my dad was sick at the time, like from like when I left Burger King, my dad was sick, and my mom and I agreed that I could just help with him and like take him to the doctor and stuff like that, and I could just do that instead of anything. And then after he passed, it was you need to get a job again. And
Sure. So, yeah, my easiest job to get was Domino's. All I did was call my brother and say, Taco Bell's pissing me off. And he said, well, I need drivers. And so I went over there and filled out paperwork and started working at Domino's. No interview, no nothing.
that's kind of like what McDonald's was. There was no interview. It was just like sit down, pick out a uniform. There you go.
All
Like
right. So
my mom was like outside waiting for me.
out of your jobs, which one was your favorite?
Mm, honestly, probably Rickers. I think. Honestly, the um probably the one in Pell.
Hmm. Mine, mine is actually probably a tie between Ace Hardware and the vet clinic. Because I know that sounds weird because one is where I'm on my feet all day, the other I was a receptionist, but I liked the atmosphere of Ace Hardware and I liked the atmosphere of the vet clinic. So I liked both of those places the best. Um, all right, so out of the other ones, what was your least favorite?
Least favorite Burger King. Just the way that it went down and everything. Like it was like really good and everything, but then they changed over the management and everything, and it turned into just a hell pit because of the management staff. Probably a tie between like Burger King and probably Kohl's because Kohl's was just bad from the get go.
Yeah.
I thought it would be really really good to work there and everything because it seemed like really nice, and then that there was like never any hours. The staff was just gossipy bitches, and it it was just never a fun place to work at all.
So yeah, uh, mine surprisingly, I honestly thought I was going to pick something else, but the more I thought about it, WIS, the WIS, was the worst job. And this job, my doctor at the time told me if I didn't quit that job, it would probably kill me
Hmm.
because I wasn't sleeping. The way they had scheduled me, because I was a driver and a scanner. If you don't know what WIS is, they do inventory for larger companies. So, like Lowe's and Walmart, and when you go in, and you see all those little yellow tags all around. That's the inventory company that's did that. So I worked for WIS, and most of the time I was scheduled at like 5 in the morning to go pick up the people to drive to the scan location, and you scan until you're done. You don't get a second day. You scan until you're done. And so there's some days where I obviously, even if I'm done, I have to wait for everyone to be done because I'm the driver. So it's not like I can be like, oh, I'm just going to call so and so to come get me. Peace. No, I had to wait because there's people that didn't have the option to have someone come get them. And so they needed the driver. Um, and so there were days where, I'd go pick everyone up at like 5:30 in the morning. We'd finish scanning at like 5 o'clock at night, and then they would have me scheduled at a store like at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I had no time because just because we finished scanning at 5 o'clock doesn't mean I got to leave and take everyone back to the main drop off area, which usually was anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour away anyway. So by the time I actually got home and got showered, everything else, I would usually get maybe 3 hours of sleep before I had to start the next day. And then there was one time that I went about 3 days with no sleep because they just had me back to back to back because they were short drivers. And I asked them one time, I said, "Can I just go sleep in the van for a few hours because I'm tired?" And they told me, "Nope, once you're on the clock, you're on the clock." And, so um, needless to say, I quit that job before I died. So yeah, that was my least favorite, absolute least favorite. Um, which one would you say is the most stressful of the jobs that you've had?
Um, hmm. Best Buy was kind of stressful because they were like constantly on you to learn like the new products and stuff like that, and they wanted you to learn like each division of products and be able to make sale, 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 sale. Like everything was like commission, 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 commission. And so that was probably like one of the most stressful ones. But um Kohl's was kind of the same way because they wanted you to get like email, 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 credit card, credit card, credit card, credit card. But Best Buy was credit card, credit card, credit card, credit card too. So like those put the most stress on credit cards, you know.
Yeah.
And but Best Buy was a little bit more because they wanted you to make commissions and stuff on certain things. Because there were certain areas that made commissions on stuff. And like not for us, the salespeople for the store. Like the store made commissions on stuff, and so they wanted us to like do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, and so they wanted us to like bundle stuff and everything else for the store, where it was for the customer. Bundle and save. Yeah, right.
Oh, no, no. I never had to worry about, well, when I worked at TJ Maxx, I guess we had to do that, but they didn't stress it too much on us. Um, but I would say this one's a hard one because there's different kinds of stress in my opinion. But I guess if I had to pick one, I would probably say McDonald's was the most stressful. And it wasn't like my job title that wasn't stressful, it was the general manager that made it stressful because I was a manager. I was um God, a step down from assistant manager. I forget. I think it's like a shift manager.
Yeah.
But I went to I was in training and everything to be an assistant manager. I had to go to special classes and stuff like that. If you've never worked at McDonald's, I worked for a corporate McDonald's, so it might be different for owner operator. But um, to be a actual shift manager, you had to go through special classes and stuff. And then I was training to be a shift manager. And once you get to one certain point, you go to not full on McDonald's University, which is a real place, by the way, but because that's where they send general managers to.
Hey, Michelle.
But it's kind of like, hey, Michelle, it's kind of like oh, it's like a community college instead of a university for it's like McDonald's community college. So you went to something like that for assistant manager. So I had started my training.
Hello.
Hey, our little gingerbread. Um, oh, Winn Dixie. I used to love Winn Dixie. I still go there for the meat, but eh, the prices are not so nice anymore.
We don't have Winn Dixie here.
Um, but yeah, anyway, the general manager anyway at that store just made my life crap, and she I think she wanted me to quit, which in the end she ended up winning because she really made me so mad one day that I left my keys there and I didn't go back. And it really sucked because I was like 2 weeks away from transferring stores to be an assistant manager. Like I was an assistant manager in training because I still had to go to, like I said, like the community college of McDonald's to actually be an assistant manager. But yeah.
Yeah, it was the shift managers that drove me out of Burger King. I
I I like Publix too, but again, their prices are like if I was if I didn't I'm trying to think of how to say it where if I wasn't frugal, I would shop at Publix. Not saying everything is a bad deal there, but like a lot of my normal stuff never goes on sale, so it's not feasible. Like it's not feasible. It is feasible. What's the word I'm looking? It's not economical to buy it at Publix because it's a lot cheaper in other places. So that's why I do a lot of Walmart shopping online now because I don't like to go to Walmart, but Walmart has the better deals. So, unfortunately.
That hasn't changed.
um, so, I want to save these two questions for closer to the last. Da, 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 da. All right. So, which job had your favorite manager?
My favorite manager. Trying to think. Like, I had like a whole crew of favorite managers at Burger King in the beginning, but like I said, this was my first job though. Um, so, but there was a bunch of them, and like I said, then they all got moved to a different store. So I don't know if it was like a. I'm not gonna get into that, but so I had some favorite managers at Burger King to start off with, and then I had a whole slew of ones that just made me want to.
But in general, are you saying McDonald's or I'm sorry, Burger King had your favorite managers?
To begin with, yeah, but let me think about it some more because
Okay, so why don't you think about it and I'll talk about mine.
yeah.
Because mine's pretty easy. Mine is Ace Hardware. Uh, it was
Oh,
owned
they are
by
really good.
it was owned by a husband and wife, and because if you don't know, all Ace Hardwares are individually owned. It's not a corporation. You have to buy a franchise. And these were just like the nicest people. I had a lot of medical issues going on at the time. What'd you say?
I said they were really nice.
Oh, I had a lot of medical issues going on at the time, and they were very considerate that let me take off time for my surgeries and for recovery. And, they bought us Christmas dinners every year, Christmas presents that, they always went out of their way for their employees and they were very nice, understanding if something came up. They were really family first type of people. And I liked that about them. So that was my favorite managers.
They let me hang out in the back.
Yeah.
And then we go to Goodwill. um, I don't think I had any others other than the one. Well, I liked Kathy. Kathy was really nice. She was the one on lapel. But
So with that being said, then which job had your least favorite manager?
Coles, for sure.
This one's a little harder for me because honestly, a lot of these places I don't even remember the managements. um, uh, I'm looking through my list of a billion jobs here, and Um,
Well, AT&T always bitched about her.
AT&T. When did I work? When did I work? Oh, I did work at 8. Oh man, 31 jobs. I worked for an AT&T call center.
And you hated that manager.
And I did. She was okay. Crystal's right. It would have to be her. I think I blocked her out of my memory because she was just the worst. I came home every day complaining about that bee,
You did.
and I swear she had something. She was out to get me because I could do no right at all. I oh my god, when I got
I'm not
moved
laughing at the experience, especially about her.
before I quit, I got moved off her team, and because she was the training person, and I had got moved out of training, and I got put on this other team. I made my first sale. If you don't know, I wasn't in sales, but part of it is to get people to upgrade their packages. And she went and I don't know what she did that she listened to the call. She nitpicked everything. She found something to
Right.
dock me on. And she wasn't even my leader anymore. I was so pissed. I quit. I did quit. Not that exact day, but she's the reason I quit.
Yeah, we knew. Like every night, she would come in like, "Oh my god, oh my god."
Oh wow. That that is got to be a bad manager, Michelle. 12 of y'all are about to walk. Wow, I can't imagine how bad they must have been for that to happen. That's crazy. I don't think we've had any places. Um, no, I don't think I've worked anywhere where most of us were gonna walk. So,
No,
um, oh, here's the question that Crystal came up with. Which job had the shadiest hiring practices? You can go first.
for me it was Kohl's. The way they handled it. I need to like. Let me read off the way I texted it to you because I want to make sure I say it right. Because, like in my head, like as I was texting it, like I don't want to make sure I say it wrong. So I
Okay.
was like, oh shit. Okay, so like basically, like they would, like they had people in for a meeting, and then they showed a video about how Kohl's was done and how it started and everything, like who started it and everything. And then they went over all the applications that they had, and they were asking questions to people. They were asking us about retail, like they were like calling out individual people and asking about retail and customer service. And so they would like point at someone and like say like, you know, ask who you were and like ask you a question like what your feelings about certain things were, and you know, ask you to like give question answer and stuff like that. And then, so by the end of all that, they were like, okay, it looks like for a few of you, we need to get a little bit more information because you didn't quite fill out your applications completely. So we just need you to stick around for a little bit and get, you know, get these things sorted out. And then the rest of you are good. You know, we've got everything we need. We'll get back with you and, you know, and we'll follow up and be calling you to go further along, basically, is what they were saying, you know? So it was like, these people didn't finish their stuff, so we need to get them, but you guys are good. And so they called the people's names, filed them out, and then once they were gone, the manager looks at us and she's like, yeah, okay, you guys were fine. Your applications are good. They're the ones, like, you know, they're done. You guys are the ones that were hiring. So let's move on to the next step in this interview. And it was just kind of like, oh, seriously? So yeah, that was like one of the shadier hiring practices. And that is what they do because I went through Kohl's twice. Their grand opening, I tried to go with them, and I was in the group that got shuffled out.
Mhm.
And so when I saw those people getting shuffled out, I was like, they're not coming back.
Michelle, I really wonder what he did, because you're right. It For him to make you guys sign NDAs before he would uh fire her.
That
she
is kind
she
of.
had something on him. That's for sure. Um, uh, what were we talking? What did I? Oh, shady practices.
Hmm.
Um, Mine wasn't really shady. I just thought it was kind of weird, and it was for substituting
Well, that's what I
because
meant by shady. It's just odd, you know. It's just like
yeah,
a non-normal hiring practice.
because the way that worked was I filled out like I submitted my resume through Indeed for the substitute job, and I'm not going to disclose the company because I would like to go work for them one day if I ever get back into a district they are in. But so I submitted my resume. I got an email from them saying, "Hey, we think you'd be a great fit," and blah blah blah. And you have to go. They send you a thing saying you need to go here and do a background check, and it's an extensive background check. It's basically still government background check. It's done through like a someone that works for the clerk's office. So it's still done by a government official, but it's not at the courthouse. It's in an off building. Anyway, it costs like $100. So it's one of those jobs where you have to spend money up front before you get hired, sort of situations, because they don't pay for your background checks. Um, and I knew mine was going to come back clean, so I wasn't worried about spending the $100 that I wouldn't be able to go through. I just didn't really have the $100 to spend at that point because that's back when we were like scraping pennies, believe it or not. And so my husband figured out a way that I could go get this background check done and we'd be fine. I went go do that, and I got a call. I was like, okay, done that. They're going to bring me in for the interview and everything else. So they called me in. I went into the office. She said, okay, stand there. She took my picture. I filled out like all not your tax information, because even though it's set up like a 1099, it wasn't a 1099, if that makes any sense. Like as a substitute, you make your own schedule basically, but they still take taxes out of your check. So you still submit a timesheet. Um, but there was no interview process. She gave me my login information, told me I could go on there and start scheduling myself. No training, no nothing. So kind of like, here you go. And the reason I thought this was a little shady because it wasn't for like a just go in and babysit the kids situation. You were actually going in and teaching these kids. Like you had a lesson plan. The teacher left a lesson plan for you to follow. I think I only went one time where the teachers left thing like a movie for them to watch. Other than that, I'm like up there, whiteboard and all, teaching these damn hooligans. And yeah, that so I just thought that was weird because I could see if it was like when we were younger, substitutes didn't teach. They literally just babysat you. Every time you had a substitute, you watched a movie, no matter what. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you had a substitute, you were watching a movie. That's how it was back in my time. So I don't know. I just thought that was a little weird.
I had some substitutes that taught.
I know. Hold on. Let me catch up on Michelle's tea here. We
Like
had.
shady stuff.
I
You
know he. cash medical insurance checks. That wasn't his. Ooh, that's illegal.
Like, what happened to this dude? Like, anything, or is he still doing his stuff?
Yeah, that because I like until the insurance company. Ooh, that's weird. That is. Ooh, that's illegal. He's probably in jail. If he's not, he should be.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get a little deeper. Tell me something a job has taught you that you will never forget no matter what.
You didn't tell me you were gonna be doing that.
I sent you, it was on the list I sent you.
Was it?
Yes, it sure was. Because that one, there's one on here you don't know about, but it's not that one because that was on the original question list. I only added one.
It was, okay. Um, I mean, hang on. A job is taught. Okay.
Oh, so he got by with basically stealing insurance money.
Oh, 4 locations in a helicopter. Yeah,
Jeez, he's balling.
yeah, he is.
Maybe I'm in the wrong business after all. I'm not even in a business.
Yeah. No, we need to be scamming some insurance checks, I guess.
Right. So, since Crystal's
Yeah.
still thinking, I'm going to go ahead and say mine. And it's kind of like a mean a mean lesson, I guess. But it would be that Rickers taught me that don't believe anything people tell you. And here's why. For 2 whole years, I worked there longer than 2 years though, but at least for 2 years, my boss sat there every day. I'm going to hire someone for third shift. I'm going to hire someone for third shift. I'm going to hire someone
Oh, God.
because I was temporarily the third shift person and I was third shift for almost 3 years. So taught me just not to take anyone at their word. And if you want something done, do it yourself. That was my lesson in life. He was Arnold Blank, and the other doctor was Craig, some last.
Same last name. But insurance companies make mistakes often.
Hmm. Wow.
They
You think
usually find
that?
out eventually, though.
Yeah, you think they would have figured it out eventually? Yeah.
They might. They still might.
And maybe they did figure it out, and he was told, "Hey, either pay all of this back, or we're gonna press charges." Who knows? I don't know. But also, you said you haven't shopped. I'm going back to her earlier thing. You said you haven't shopped at a Winn-Dixie or Publix in 23 years. And I got to say this from your picture, you don't look old enough to have not been in a Winn-Dixie or Publix in 23 years. I'm just going to say that. Because I'm pushing 40 and well, yeah, I'm pushing 40. You probably tell that though, because I look 40 now. But you don't look old enough to. We moved to Tennessee from Georgia. Oh, I want to move to Tennessee so bad. My husband knows this too, but like Georgia, it's one of those that he won't make what he's making now there, unfortunately. Um, if I had to guess, I would say early 30s. Early 30s is what I would put you at. Hopefully that's not insulting. Also, your picture is like this small, so But yeah. She's girl. No way. There's
No.
no way in hell you're 49. Well, you need to send me your face regimen and
Mhm.
your anything you're doing to keep looking young because I think my problem is I start to do all that fancy crap and then I don't. I just don't. I don't wash my face.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's how old we thought you were.
Isn't sad? I almost said, "Oh, people that I would date," but no, I wouldn't date people that young anymore. Oh
My
my god, I'm
goodness.
old.
My goodness.
Zero keto. Oh, so you're on keto. The keto diet, or like, is ketogenic something different?
Ketogenic is like bacon and mayonnaise and tomatoes and
Same, Michelle. I only wash my face with water. That's what I mean. Why I don't wash my face. I don't use like soap or anything. So, um, but I have a ton of like facial cleansers that cost a lot of money, and I'm like, okay, I can do this for 30 days, and it will become routine, and then yeah, doesn't happen.
there's no I can't remember what's all in the ketogenic diet, but it's I know they use it for like kinds of epilepsy and stuff like that. It's different than keto,
Hmm.
I think. I don't think it's keto. I think it's different. Don't quote me. Don't quote me.
I live in a state of ketosis. I eat keto. Okay.
It might be the same thing as keto, but it's like meat, like no carbs.
Okay. Most likely, I will have to go on something like that. We'll find out soon, which will be in an upcoming video. So, again, once I have information, you guys will too. Um, okay, so yeah, that definitely sounds like something they're most likely going to end up putting me on in the future. Uh,
I don't know if I can go into. I've heard that you can't go into ketosis without a gallbladder, so I don't know if I can do it.
I mean, I've eaten on keto before, nothing's ever happened, if that makes sense. Like, I was on the keto diet for a while and I didn't get sick or anything. So,
No, that's what I'm saying. Like without a gallbladder, I don't think you can go into ketosis.
oh, I see what you're meaning. Never mind. I'm thinking you were saying I can't eat keto.
No, it's like you can eat the diet, but without a gallbladder, I don't think you can go into proper ketosis. It's what I've read anyway, or what I've heard.
Hmm. The levels of fat determine which one you use. For epilepsy, you would eat 80% fat. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the diet that like helps cure epilepsy, like finger quote cure.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Possibly, maybe. I don't know. I just read some like because I know when like the diet became like really really popular, like I read that you couldn't really go into it without a gallbladder. Like if you don't have a gallbladder, you
She
can't.
says you can, you just need to eat less fat.
Ah.
So, all right. Well, that's interesting to know. So, if they end up putting me on something like that, I'll be hitting you up, girl. Because, like I said, I went on keto before, which is probably completely not completely different, but probably different from what you're on. And I ended up caving after about a month because I really wanted a damn cupcake. And after that, I said, oh, well. So,
I think I might have a little bit some kind of IBS. Like I don't know, some kind of IBS. I'm not sure. I know I have arthritis.
uh,
Oh, she's got a keto cupcake recipe.
Ooh, you'll have to send that to me. I'm always looking for cupcake recipes that are healthy. Um, so Crystal,
Hmm.
if you could change one thing about the last job you had, what would it be?
Okay, that would be Best Buy. um, I
Oh,
probably would have. I didn't answer your last question. I figure that one out still. If I could change one thing, I probably maybe would have figured out a different store, or wouldn't have transferred to maybe wouldn't have transferred to Best Buy anyway, and just would have figured out a different job in Florida, maybe, because I really wasn't happy at the Winter Garden store.
yeah.
I don't know, like, because we weren't getting by that well while we were there.
We also probably would not move to Florida if you didn't have the job, though, because that's why we moved. Because you were going to have the job while the rest of us looked for work.
No, I know, but
So
what I'm saying is, like I don't know.
I
It's
get what you weren't happy.
No, it's like I wasn't happy in that store, so it's like I either probably would have figured, because the one that I thought I was going to was like, we don't have a job, we don't have a place for you, like you didn't transfer here.
Uh, uh, did you link those? Because if you did, I can find them after we end the live, but it's not showing the links on in my chat right now. Um, so what was my last job? Substituting. The only thing I would change is that they would be throughout the whole state of Florida, not just where they were, because then I could have still been working down here instead of sitting at home bored. That's why I do YouTube though, so we wouldn't be doing this if I had a job. So I guess everything works out for a reason.
Well, I guess I can say something that a job taught me, and that's that, it's like, even if you think a manager is like like nice and likes you or whatever, like you never really know, because like the wages in Florida were different than they were in Indiana and everything. And I found out not long after, what yeah, it really wasn't that long after, that the people that I was working with in the same positions and everything were making like $2 or $3 an hour more than I was, because I was asked going in like how much I was making in Indiana, and I told her it was like $7 in Indiana. Was it 7 or 9?
I know it was more than 7. It was like around 8 something that you were making.
Yeah, because I told her like what I was making or whatever, and so that's what I was making. And then the people that were already there, that had been there, they were making like $2 more, because that was the starting wage. And so she paid me what I had been making already, rather than bumping me up to what people in Florida made.
Mm-hmm.
She left me at what I was already making. And so it's like I could have been making more if she would have bumped me up, because she asked me like where I was. Like,
Right.
and I told her what I was making in Indiana. I was like, well, the minimum in Indiana is this, so I'm making this. And so that's what she put me at. So it's like, even if you think a manager is like really, really nice and there to help you out and stuff like that, they're probably not.
Yeah. Mm. See, Michelle said she would have left sooner rather than later. There's a few jobs that I wish I would
Yeah,
have done that too, for
there's
sure.
someone who's done that too. Because I probably wouldn't have let Burger King like last as long as it did.
Some I wish I would have never accepted the offer. Blankety blank. Oh, I can honestly say, let's see, I've only had one good paying job, surprisingly, and it was the vet clinic. That was the most I've ever made was when I worked at the vet clinic. Everything else actually, no, that's not true. That's not I would say if I would have worked the amount of hours I worked at the vet clinic as a substitute would have been the best money because as a substitute, I made $110 a day. So, but emotionally and mentally, I
Hmm.
could not handle that. We were lucky I was able to do 3 days.
I've wanted to get into something like filing insurance and stuff like that, but I've never been able to figure out like how to get my foot into a door like that.
Wasn't that what you were going to no, you were going for coding, weren't you?
I never really got that far into it. I ended up finding what I'm doing now.
Well, I'm saying, but no, when you were going to school, weren't you going for medical billing and coding?
No, I
What were
was medical assisting.
Oh, okay.
Billing and coding is what I was going to be doing, like the the new thing I was looking into
Mm,
before I found what I'm doing now.
mm.
I
Alright.
would do stuff like filing insurance or whatever because that's just like sitting at your computer and typing stuff in and like the data entry work. Like that's what I've been wanting to do. And I can't find it like online anywhere. It's like I don't know if you need schooling for it now or what.
Probably you need schooling for about everything. I was looking at Indeed just for fun because we all know right now I can't physically work, but,
Well,
uh,
that's my thing too. It's like I can't physically go out and do anything. It's like I'm stuck at home and
but yeah, I was looking on Indeed just for fun, and there was a job for literally a receptionist, something I've done before.
mm,
Same situation at a vet clinic. They wanted a front desk receptionist, but they wanted you to have a bachelor's degree.
yeah,
What? It's like, okay, first of all, no offense to anyone out there that's a receptionist with a bachelor's degree, but if I was going to school, well, I did go to school, but if I had a bachelor's degree, I don't think the first job I would be looking for would be a receptionist. So I get that, again, some people take jobs that they need in the moment, not necessarily that they want. But companies like that you would think would be looking for long-term employment, not short-term employment. So why would they hire someone who is probably going to leave them in the future?
mm,
So that's what I never understood about that. Like, oh, where was it? Something else required a bachelor's degree, and I'm like, seriously? I
hmm,
can't remember. It was like a front desk clerk or something at a hotel or something like something stupid like that where you
concierge.
were like, no, I definitely wouldn't go work there if I had a bachelor's degree. So,
Yeah, it's like they're making it to where like every single job requires you to have a bachelor's degree.
yeah. Yeah, I was going for my bachelor's in business before I switched to criminal justice. So, um, I honestly, well, there's like this thing where you teeter. I kind of wish when I transferred schools, and the whole reason I switched majors is because my original credits did not transfer to the new school because apparently I didn't go to an accredited college. I'm talking about the Indiana Business College. We'll get to this. So I went to ITT Tech. Before anyone says anything, let me finish my story. They said, oh, Indiana Business College isn't an accredited school, so your credits aren't going to transfer. And I said, well, fine then. I want to be a social worker. What do I need for that? And they're like, oh, criminal justice degree. So I switched to criminal justice. Come to find out later, as many of us know, ITT Tech screwed over a bunch of people. And also, come to find out, their credits are also not transferable. They are not an accredited school, even though they claim to be. Because Crystal and I went to Florida Tech. Yeah, Florida Technical College, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they told us that ITT Tech is not an accredited school. She said, and they even told us we're not an accredited school either, but we do take credits from an accredited school. But because ITT Tech wasn't an accredited school, none of our credits transferred. So again, we had to start over. So I said, F it. I'm going to go into culinary this time.
Yeah, and I did medical assisting.
Yeah. So, needless to say, ooh, I'd love to be. Oh, you know what? I told my husband once and my family, I wish I would have become a spy because, or, just a private investigator because my ex cheated on me and it took me like 2 seconds to find him. Yeah. All I had to do was look at our phone records for one. Like, I know a lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually pull up your cell phone records and see who you've been who everyone on your plan's been calling. So the idiot was talking to this girl. I found out what city she lived in. So when he said he was going to a friend's house one time, I drove over to his friend's house. His car wasn't there. So I drove to the city that this girl lived in. I went through 2 neighborhoods maybe and then saw his car and said, okay. Went home, put all his shit out on the porch, excuse my language, and that was it. Of course, I ended up taking the idiot back, but you live, you learn, you get loves, right? So, last question before we start spilling tea and talking dirt and stuff like that. Which job had the best coworkers?
That might be McDonald's, to be honest.
Okay. Mine, honestly, would be Ace Hardware. Age 12. Whew. So you're more than high school sweethearts. You're like middle school sweethearts. I didn't meet my husband until I was 28 or 29. So we will have been married 8 years this year. And Crystal doesn't like my husband, by the way. She thinks he's mean. All right. So Crystal and I both worked at McDonald's. So
yes. Different McDonald's.
Yes, of course, because I worked there when I was 20 something, and plus you lived in Richmond, so
yes.
So one of the things I just want to say in McDonald's defense, guys, is that their meat is real. It's not sludge. It's not fake. The hamburgers do actually get cooked on a griddle top, believe it or not. The chicken nuggets actually are chicken, not sludge, believe it or not. The only thing you should be iffy about is those pancakes because they come
Ugh,
frozen and we just threw them in the microwave.
that's true. Yeah, they come packaged in a
The
yeah.
Egg McMuffin, those eggs, those round eggs, they're made fresh. Fresh
Mhm.
most of the days fresh to order as much. Well, I worked at one of the busiest stores in Indiana, so um dang, he had a lot of pull convinced his family to move counties. But yeah, so as much as I hate McDonald's because it upsets my stomach, a lot of the misconceptions about McDonald's are actually false.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to stress about McDonald's that people are getting pedo about is that, and this was a conversation in general that made me mad. Someone brought up that we wonder why the fast food restaurants are being taken over by machines. So McDonald's, if you guys haven't been, and most of them are like this, I don't know if all of them are, but when you go inside a McDonald's, they have those things where you um did you just change your name?
With the Life Adventures with Michelle, that's what she changed her other channel to. That's her other
Oh,
channel.
oh, I don't know why I just noticed it. Oh
That's her
my god.
other channel. That's
All
what she
right.
said. She
Okay.
has
I
other
was
channel.
I was confusing myself here, people. Anyway, so when you go into these fast food restaurants, now you have these self checkout kiosks like grocery stores and crap have. And but everyone's saying, um, no one wants to work, blah blah blah. And in reality, it's that no one wants to pay anyone a living wage. And when I say a living wage, I'm not saying that these people need to make $20, $30 an hour to work at McDonald's. But, 15, $16 an hour this day and age, I don't think is unfeasible. Um, and a lot of places, I know like down here in Florida, a lot of our McDonald's already do pay $15 an hour to employees, but there are places like, for example, I'm going to say Georgia because my friend used to work at the McDonald's in Georgia and she made $8 an hour. And when she got management, she only got bumped up to $10 an hour. So when I say pay them a living wage, I don't necessarily mean to where I know this is going to sound wrong. I think a living wage is higher than minimum wage. Minimum wage itself needs to be raised. If minimum wage was raised to more of a living wage than what it is, there wouldn't be as big of an issue. Now, I know the problem with that though is that if we do that, places are going to raise their prices regardless of if they need to. For example, McDonald's has no reason that they couldn't pay all of their employees around the board a higher wage and keep their prices where they're at. But they're not going to do that. They're going to be like, "Oh, well, we're taking this much of a loss. Let's make it up by raising our prices." So,
From what I've seen, like I've seen them like making the iced coffee, and it looks like it's not mixed with creamer. It looks like they make it and then they add the creamer in.
yeah.
I
So,
didn't work there when they had iced coffee, but
Michelle, yeah, I do agree with you on that, that it wasn't intended to be a permanent job. And unfortunately, like right now, like I said, people have been taking jobs that they can get, not necessarily the job they want. So, like my argument with this dude in this thread I was in, because I told him there are people with bachelor's degrees working at these fast food restaurants. And it's not that that's where they want to be, but they went to college for 4 years and there's no jobs for them in the field that they have their degree in. And unfortunately, I know like if I had children, I would encourage them to go to trade school, not college. And that's honestly frowned upon these days because everyone thinks you need to go to college to have the best degree. But if my kids don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, I don't think they need to go to college. I think pick a trade, go to trade school because you're more likely to find a job as a plumber or an electrician or something along those lines, than you are to find a corporate CEO job right out of college, which is another thing. These kids, they go to these schools and they graduate expecting to make $100,000 a year. In reality, they're getting an entry level job that probably pays just as much as a McDonald's does every year. So, uh,
Their machine may not have a setting where they can where they can set how much creamer goes in. That could be what they mean.
mm,
Like it may not have an option for heavy cream, light cream,
yeah,
or whatever.
we didn't have that fancy stuff when I worked at
No,
McDonald's.
like so I don't know. So they may not be able to like adjust how much creamer goes in when they add the creamer to it. So like I honestly don't know. I've never worked there to when they had like the iced coffee option. That was something that came in after I worked there. So I don't want to say anything. So I don't know like how they do it, but I would imagine like if they're telling you that they can't do it, if more than one location is saying they can't adjust it, then it's probably something to where the machine has no option.
Probably. Kind of like our ice cream machine at McDonald's. Everyone always wanted it like a swirl, and we're like, we sell vanilla ice cream. Well, can't you do a swirl?
No.
We sell vanilla ice cream. We don't have chocolate. I can give you a hot fudge sundae, but
Hmm.
so people, I don't know. They most likely don't have. I don't know how their iced coffee thing is set up. I think it comes mixed with the cream already, and they just add like the mocha and caramel flavors to it. But again, we didn't have that fancy stuff when I worked at McDonald's. When I
No.
worked at McDonald's, they were just starting to test out the 24-hour thing.
It's like, so I don't know. I don't know if it's like they put coffee in there with ice and then they add in like the flavorings and stuff like that, or if it's something to where they.
Oh, okay. So the additional schooling you went was for your insurance filer's license then. That's what I'm guessing. I was getting confused. I was confusing myself because I'm sitting there thinking, why did you go 2 more years of schooling to be a housekeeper? Because I'm pretty sure you can get a business license without a degree. I think all you have to do is, you know, carry insurance on yourself. Okay. Um, so do you have any McDonald's secrets you want to spill?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Like,
let me ask you guys this. Do you guys, because I had someone tell me that I'm out of my mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But do you guys remember when McDonald's had salads? And I'm not talking about the
mhm.
McShaker. I'm talking about actual salads
Yes,
where you can
I
put chicken and
loved
stuff
those
in it.
salads. I loved those salads. I did.
So so
Listen,
did I. But this person argued with me for God knows how long that I was wrong, that they never had salads. I must be thinking of Wendy's because McDonald's never I'm like, dude, I was a manager at McDonald's and I'm pretty sure I used to have someone make salads
should this be a
for
question for next week?
oh, see, she remembers it too. Well, see, no, but there are a lot of people apparently that don't. I know that's for next week, but since we're talking about jobs, I wanted to bring it up. But yeah, there's apparently a lot of people that don't remember them having
Yes, they
salads.
had wraps too. They had wraps. They had a whole healthy
Well,
menu.
well, they remember the wraps and they remember the McShakers, and that's what their other argument is. Oh no, they've only ever had the McShakers. They've never had actual
All the
salads.
salads. They have
And I'm like, "No, I used to eat a salad, like, every freaking day." I
yes.
used to have I used to have I forget what it was called. I think it was like an Asian salad or something. It had the little crispy noodles on it with cut up grilled chicken, the Asian dressing. It was good. It
Yeah,
was
they
a
had those when I worked there.
it was like a limited time thing, so I was very mad when they got rid of it.
Yeah, they had them when I worked there.
Yeah, so okay. I'm glad I'm not going out of my mind because
Soup
there were a
too.
lot of people in the thread that agreed with this person that McDonald's did not have salads.
Yeah, they had soup and stuff like that too. Remember they had soup in the winter in
Ours
the
ours only
fall.
ours only sold soup from
In the fall. Yeah.
October to February.
Mhm.
So,
It was fall. It was soup.
yeah.
But I will say this: the drive-through window, it can and it will eat your hand.
Oh,
I
yeah.
lost my class ring to that.
Oh, I had someone order a water. They just came through the drive-thru and ordered a water, which is free, whatever. So I'm like, okay, pull up to the first window. I go to hand them their water and they throw it right back in my face. Like they literally took the lid off and threw it at me in my face. I'm like,
Wow.
I straight up looked at them. The manager was behind me and saw everything. I looked at them and I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Excuse my language again. I should have. I usually I bleep myself, but I was mad. Like I was ready to like throw hands, and I don't fight, by the way. So, luckily I had clothes in my car, so I just went out and put on my normal street clothes. But
What did you do?
I don't know, but like the manager called the cops. We had their plates and everything, so the
That's
manager called the
cool.
cops because that's I told the cop, I said, "I wasn't really that worried about it." He said, "No, that's assault. I don't care if it
Yeah,
was just
that's
water." And I'm
all.
like, "Okay." He's like, "If we find him, you wanna press charges?" I said, "You do you." This morning, I about threw hands. Ooh, why? Spread some tea. I'm all about throwing hands at people, but I never would. I'm a verbal hand thrower.
I do some one finger waves myself. I do those in the car.
I mean, was it this one or this one? Did you
You
say
know
no,
the
no, no?
one
I
finger.
know. I'm just teasing. Although I did get mad at someone, and I'm like, because I had the right of way, and they had a stop sign, and they kept going, and I'm like, like what are they gonna do? What is no, no, no gonna tell them?
No, that's not the one finger wave I use. Not in the car. No,
so,
in the car I use another finger.
so what did the blankety blank do? His big truck with no trailer was going at least 2 miles.
Oh, 10
Those
miles.
are those are the worst. Look, I'm fine with people. If you want to drive the speed limit, drive the speed limit, but don't drive under the speed limit. That really irks me.
People got places to be.
Yeah. So this is why okay, so fun fact, most of y'all Crystal might know. Actually, she probably doesn't know about my newfound anxiety of the interstate. But
Oh, you like the interstate when I was with you, so
nowadays
you were a fan of the interstate.
nowadays I tend to stay in the first lane unless like traffic is really light and then I'll venture out. But I usually stay in the first lane and I'm usually about 5 miles over the speed limit on the interstate because I don't know what the interstate gives me a lot of anxiety, especially when it's busy. And so this freaking old lady the other day, when I was trying to get to my appointment, granted I was still an hour early, but that's just me. But I was trying to get to my appointment up in Tampa. So, it's an hour and a half away. So I left 3 hours early, of course. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and I was in the first lane. I was going 75. The speed limit's only 70. Then all of a sudden I realized because I don't drive with my cruise control and I kind of just lift my foot and stuff like that. I realized that I was all the way down to 65 and I'm like, what the heck? And the lady in front of me is just going 65 miles an hour and I'm like, so flip my blinker on to get over and go around her. And next thing I know, I'm in third lane going like 85 miles an hour. But then once I get closer to Tampa, I was like, nope, back in the first lane because it got too busy. He would speed up when I could pass him and slow down when I could. Oh, I hate people like that.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that's just a freaking a hole right there.
Mm. doing it on purpose.
I would be a horrible podcaster because I'm not reading all her things. I'm reading them, but I'm not reading them out loud like the some of the people do in the lives. And I know you said I think you said you were on the interstate, right? Or you were just you're probably on a side road. See, the secret to the taking back roads is you've got to learn all the ins and outs of them. Because when we lived in Orlando, I could get from point A to point B like 30 different ways because if I got behind one a-hole, I knew what road to turn down to bypass him and cut right in front of him up the road. And I used to do it all the time.
I know,
Just
like when I had my favorite route going to Winter Garden.
well,
And
that's one of them I'm talking about
yeah.
because I
And I
knew
knew like all the curves and everything, how fast you could go and the speeds and like when you could speed up and when you had to slow down because
all
like
the
that
side
road.
roads you could turn off and then get back on in front of someone that was peeing you off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, you should look at the map and see if there's any like small roads you can cut off on. Oh, so you were that far into the country. Yeah. Well, he sounds worse than an international harvester because at least they're nice enough to get as far off the road as they can so you can pass them. And other tractors, but international harvesters are my favorite because they have a song. Ask Crystal. I used to sing it every time we saw one.
National Harvester.
Oh man. So we got off topic again. That's fine.
That's not hard.
It's just us three chit chatting right now.
Oh well, that happens.
You probably made his day though. He's probably like, "Oh, I'm really peeing this woman off. Let me keep doing it because sometimes you got to remember it's okay to feed into them, but at the same time you got to realize they're probably getting a kick out of it. He was probably sitting there going, "Yes, that's exactly what I wanted today was to pee that someone off."
Made. Day is now made. I can now sleep easy.
So Kristen and I both worked at a place called AMPM/Rickers, and
Yes.
I want to tell Crystal's story for her.
Oh, lovely.
The beginning of it anyway. So Crystal never had any intentions of working there. She actually worked at Kohl's still, but we went to school together.
Mhm.
And so on the day she didn't have to work, she stayed the night at my house because she lived like an hour and a half away from the school.
And it was snowing.
And so my boss was like, "Why is she always here?" And I said, "Well, she didn't want to be at the house by herself, so she just hangs out here and does homework and stuff." And he's like, one day he said, "Does she need a job?" And I said, "She'd probably like a better job." He's like, "Go ask her if she wants a job." He didn't go ask her if she wanted a job. He said, "Go ask her if she wants a job." And I didn't go over there and ask her if she wants a job. I kind of said it from across the room because it was like 5 in the morning. No one's there yet. Our rush hadn't started yet. So I'm like, "Hey, Crystal, Mike wants to know if you want a job." And she kind of looked at me funny and she's like, "Huh?" And I don't remember what he said, but something along the lines of, I need some first shift employees and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him. I got so mad. I was like, "Excuse me?" Because Here I am still temporarily working third shift. And let me tell you, we did have a weekend, or I shouldn't say weekend, but a 2-day a week third shifter named Dax, and
Oh God.
he
Oh.
ended up like stealing money or something. I don't remember what he got caught doing, but he ended up getting fired. So my 5 days a week turned into 7 because the other person, or not 7, 6, because the other person he could get to cover would only cover 1 day because she had kids. But anyway, I digress. Um, which was weird because
A lot of
when
stuff.
when Crystal and I went on vacation, and yes, they let us go on vacation at the same time. She was the one that volunteered to cover my shift for the when we were gone for 2 weeks. So she volunteered to cover my shift for 2 weeks. The
Mhm.
one that had kids. I can't work third shift. I have kids, and she volunteered for my shift.
Mhm.
Because Mike thought he was gonna have to bring someone in from a different store to cover my shift for 2 weeks, and she's like, "I'll do it. I need a break." First of all, if you're telling me third shift is a break for you, that means you ain't doing a third shift job, because I had a lot on my plate. But yeah, that's how Crystal got hired. I just had to tell that story.
I kind of remember that, but I kind of don't. Like, I really don't. Or like, I do remember like being there all the time, like going there with you and everything, and being like in there and like doing my homework and stuff.
And sometimes my homework, because
Mhm.
I didn't have time, like, if we got super busy, I'd be like, "Crap, I'm not gonna have time to do this," and she's like, "I'm done with mine, I'll do yours." So she would do my homework for me, and we had the same classes, so she basically took what she did and just changed the words. But, oh, so when we first started working there, though, it was called AM PM. It was a AM PM/BP station, and it was a California-owned business, so the owners lived out in California, whatever. Anyway, they had changed their uniform at one point, and luckily Crystal and I got by with not having to wear them because Mike ordered the wrong size for us, but
Oh
they were the
God, the things are beat.
ugliest. They had hamburgers, hot dogs, sodas all over them, and they were like this flammable material, which we learned. Okay, so I had to tell this story. We had a lady that worked in the kitchen. Her name was Mary, and she wore she always wore an apron over her whatever, but we had aprons back there. But she was in the kitchen one day, and she brushed by a hot pan she just took out of the oven, and her shirt melted. This hot dog hamburger covered shirt that I'm telling you
I
about,
hated those.
it melted. After that, Mike said, "No one's wearing those shirts. Everyone go back to your original clothes. No one is wearing those shirts." And everyone was so excited about them. Crystal and I didn't have to wear them at all because, I mean, we said, "Oh well, we can put a shirt on under it and just wear that over it." No, it has to be buttoned up. So just wear your old crap. And
And people ordered us the wrong size, and it's like, what the hell? We
yeah,
gave
but
them our
we
size and
told
everything.
him. We even told him what size we needed, and he's the one that ordered the wrong size. So that's on him. But anyway, after this shirt melted, like luckily it didn't melt to her skin. Luckily hers was baggy and it just literally melted. Oh,
But yeah,
but it could have.
we came in that day and everyone was in like their normal shirts and we're like, what the heck? And then we heard the story and it was like, thank God.
Yeah. That well, and I even told him when we got the shirts, I looked at it and I said, "You realize these are flammable, right?" And he said, "What?" He's like, "Oh, that won't matter." And I
I,
looked over at the kitchen and I'm like,
I
"Hmm."
think that night when we went in, he was like, don't even say it. Don't even say it.
But so another fun fact about Rickers is that before it was Rickers anyway, some shortly after Rickers too, but mainly before it was Rickers, we had a kitchen area and we made donuts and a bunch of other stuff homemade.
Yeah,
And
we both got to work in that area too because I made sandwiches and stuff for a while.
after working there for a while, I realized that the only people that ever worked in the kitchen, like when it came to the cooking part, were all the girls.
Mm-hmm.
One time, oh, what was his name? Not Kyle, but the one that almost got fired for,
Kevin?
was that the one that had like the scammer?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had to come back in the kitchen one day and help me because we had run out of the cooler sandwiches, and it was truck day, and they had me putting truck away, keeping up with like sandwiches and donuts and all this other stuff. So he had to come back there and help me with those sandwiches. And I kid you not, this kid, bless his heart, he said, "How do I open the bread?" Because we had buns, they weren't cut. You had to cut them. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, "How do I open the bread?" And I kind of looked at him and I said, "With the bread knife?" And he's like, "Okay." I said, "But you don't cut it all the way through." And he he looked at me like, "What?" So I had to show this kid who at the time was probably not much younger than me, would you say?
No, like we were all close to the same age. Like we weren't
Yeah.
that far apart in
He
age.
was probably like 26, 27-ish, and we were in our early 30s at that point.
Mm-hmm.
No, we weren't, because I didn't meet Justin until I was
We
28.
were like
We were
low,
mid
low.
so
We
he
were,
oh, no, he was like 22, and then we were like in our 25, 27
yeah, we
range.
weren't quite 30 yet.
Yeah. So anyway, it doesn't matter how old we are, but I'm sitting here showing this kid how to cut bread. And then after I showed him that, he got a bunch of bread cut. And then he looked at me and he said, "Does it matter what order I put it on?" And I said, "What does the paper say that I wrote you?" And he read it to me, and I said, "Exactly." And he's like, "So does it matter what order I put it in?" I said, "You put it in the order of which I wrote it." And he's like, "Okay."
Oh my god.
So I get done making, I think I was like making hot dogs or something at that time, because our store didn't have a roller or anything. Everything was fresh made.
His
And
name was Keith.
what?
His name was Keith.
Keith, that's what it was. And his girlfriend worked there for a brief moment.
A brief moment.
Yeah, but um so then I checked on his sandwiches, and I said, I looked at him and I said, "Did you forget something?" And he's looking at his list, looking at the sandwiches, looking at the list. He's like, "No, I don't think so." And I was like, "Where'd you put the cheese?" And he looked at his list. He's like, "That was supposed to be first." I was like,
Mhm.
"Yep, it sure was." I said, "Just put it on top for now, because I'm not going to make you take everything off just to put cheese on." So those sandwiches were effed. I don't care. They were done, but Mike heard about the situation, and he never let another guy back in the kitchen after that. I mean, they were allowed to go back there to do dishes and crap, or help put the truck away, but he didn't let them cook at all. In fact, Kyle got in trouble for going into the kitchen one time and making himself a fresh hamburger. Yeah. I did it all the time and I never got in trouble, but Kyle got in trouble. Well, for one, he used like the biggest pan that we had instead of just one of the little pans. But plus, I looked at him and I said, "Why didn't you just throw it in the microwave?" He's like, "What?" I said, "You realize that your mom," because Mary was his mom, by the way, since you guys don't know. I said, "You realize your mom, if she has the oven full and someone asks for a hamburger, she tells them, 'Hey, I can either nuke the patties in a microwave or you can wait 10 minutes for them to be done.'" Like, because the meat was technically already cooked, we were just reheating it kind of situation. So I said, "You realize you could have just threw it in the microwave?" And he said, "No, I didn't know that." So But yeah, that
He's very special.
I liked working at Rickers until Mike was Mike was not talking about it. He was getting promoted.
Yeah.
So they were looking for a new store manager. And there was this lady that kept coming to fill in for him when he was going on like vacations or if he had to be out of town or something like that. Her name was Marty.
Mhm.
She was the worst. And when I tell you when I'm about to say I don't mean it as offensive and I really do mean this, but she was a slave driver.
Mhm.
And Crystal can attest to this because she worked with her too. But I worked third shift. I was supposed to be off at 7 o'clock at the latest. 6 o'clock really, but 7 o'clock was the latest I was allowed to work. I'm not supposed to work past 7 because you have to have so many hours between each shift. And so I did all my jobs, my normal jobs. She comes in that morning and she's like, "Did you clean above here?" And I'm like, "Why would I have cleaned that?" And she's like, "That's part of your job." I said, "Since when?" Apparently, at her store, she makes the third shift person climb ladders when no one else is in the building and clean above the coolers. So, before I could go home that day, I had to get the ladder out and clean all the signage above the coolers. We had this guy that worked there. His name was Dave, and he was an Indian kid. And I don't know what it's called when they go to mosque or something like that in the morning, they get a little red dot on their forehead. I don't remember. I don't know what it is. It's not
He doesn't
mosque.
want to be mad. He doesn't want to be mean that day. Is
Huh?
that, is that what you're saying? Like he wasn't allowed to be mean that day?
Right, because if they have that, they're supposed to be like um peaceful and whatever.
Mhm.
He was so mad at what she because after I finished the signs, she made me clean out under the coffee bar, like bleached and everything. All the stuff that is on other people, honestly, like the coffee bar is on second shift's list. And I don't know, I think the over the thing is on Mike's monthly cleaning list or
Yeah,
something
like
like
we had a cleaning list, and that
that.
was
Right.
like when things were supposed to be
So,
done.
and for one, third shift shouldn't be on ladders when no one's in the store. So,
Yeah,
Ramadan, thank you. So, anyway, this lady peed him off so bad. He
well,
literally
Ramadan's
went to
that
the
monthly thing where like that once like that where they do that 1 month of fasting and stuff like
Oh, yeah,
that.
you're right. Okay. Well, I don't know what it is, but anyway, he got so mad at her that he literally went to the back by the sink
And wiped
and
his
went like this, wiped his red dot off because he was done. And he came out and he went off on her. I thought for sure she was going to fire him, even though I don't think she had the ability to. I thought for sure she was going to fire him because he went off. And mind you, I
No,
never thought Dave liked me. Like, I thought because, for one, I'm a
he really
woman.
didn't like anybody. He really didn't like anybody, but he wasn't gonna stand for anything like that.
Well, and that's what he told me later on. He said, "No, I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. She should not have treated you like that." She, and he even used the term slave. He said, "We're not slaves, and you're
Because
supposed to be
she
off."
wouldn't let anyone help. She would not let anyone
Oh,
else help.
oh yeah, because that was his biggest thing. He's like, "No, I can go up there and clean those. She doesn't need to be on the ladder." And you know,
Because if anyone else offered to help, like
mhm.
Marty would tell no. Like she would
and
be like, "Nope, that's
And
not
he
your
got
that's
even
not your
madder
job.
because she
It's not
just
your
kept
job."
adding and adding. I didn't get out of there until 9 a.m. that day. And so
Yeah.
the next time she was scheduled to work there, I even told Mike, I said, if you ever bring her back to the store, I'm going to quit. I warned him. I'd warned him ahead of time. If she ever comes back to the store, I will quit. And lo and behold, the next time he went out of town, who did he have cover the store?
Marty.
And what did I do?
She quit.
I quit. I left work that
I even
morning.
told him, I was like, "She warned you."
I left that work that morning and I went straight to Speedway and they hired me on the spot. And the only reason I went to Speedway was because I was dating some guy that worked for Speedway at the time and he told me he could definitely get me hired. So I just needed to leave and have a job. I could not have a job at that point. So, oh, but I warned him. I would probably still work there to this day if he wouldn't have had her come and worked there. I would have probably never met Justin. I would have probably never moved to Florida because I did enjoy working for Rickers. I really did. Actually, I probably wouldn't work there anymore because they're not Rickers anymore. And I'm pretty sure that location is no longer there.
Probably not.
They're now Get Go.
Now, I know Mike heard what happened with Dave, and he thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Telling Marty off and everything, and wiping the dot off. He's like, "You wiped the dot off."
Yep. And I don't think she realized what the dot meant either.
No, I don't think she like knew like how significant it was that he actually went back there and wiped it off because he
Yeah.
had it on his head and like.
Yeah. Michelle, I honestly, if I could find a job where I like worked for myself and made money, then that would be beneficial. But unfortunately, there's not a lot out there that I can physically do right now. So, and I I don't want to clean other people's houses because I see how bad mine is. So, except my brother's, I'll clean my brother's house for him, but he's an exception to the rule because he's my little brother and I'm supposed to take care of him. Uh, but yep, I warned Mike, and I don't think because I told him I told him before that if he didn't find someone to work third shift, I was going to quit, and I never did. But I did warn him about Marty, and I even told him straight up, I am serious. I cannot work for her. I cannot work for her. I cannot work with her. If she becomes the manager of the store, I definitely will not be here. Yeah. My aunt used to clean people's houses for a little while, and then she started doing wallpapering instead. But she said this one lady she worked for, which is why she kind of transitioned, but this one lady would just follow her around and like nitpick about how she wanted things done. Oh, I don't like that done that way. Can you do it this way? Or uh can you use this instead of that? Or I don't like that kind of cleaner. Can you start using this cleaner? And so
Yeah, that'd be a big reason why I couldn't do someone else's house.
mm, but yes, she said she did it for years and then she switched to wallpaper, and I guess she's technically not my aunt. Her and my uncle never got married and they're not together anymore, but she might as well be my aunt. Um but yeah, she used to tell me horror stories about it, and I think that kind of like turned me off on the idea of cleaning other people's houses too. Like I said, I can clean my brother's, but that's because I know he's not going to say anything because he's just thankful to have someone clean his house for him. Because my younger brother, bless his heart, is just he was lucky but unlucky as a kid. He never had to do chores or anything like me and my older brother did, but that also ended up hurting him because now he doesn't know how to clean properly. So, and honestly, I don't think he cares because he makes six figures a year. So he's like, yeah, it's too bad. I'll just hire someone. Yeah.
How I
But
am, I don't make six figures a year.
I get quote unquote camera shy. I would not do a good cleaning job if they were following me around. Hmm. Well, see, that was pretty lucky that you found people that you clean with your kids there too, because I know like some people would probably be like, nah, I don't want your kids around or
Right.
but of course you live in Tennessee where a lot of people are nice, so that's what I liked about Tennessee. I think I only ever met one rude person in Tennessee the many times we've been there, and that was well, I wouldn't consider the person in Memphis to be rude. They're just kind of psychotic because they tried to get us to drive off a cliff, but
No, God.
mm. No, that's good that because some people probably would have been like, no, I was on the clock from 9 to 5. Who cares if 4 of those hours I was tending to my children? I think if I ever got to move to Tennessee, I would want to be close to Gatlinburg, but not in Gatlinburg. Kind of, what's that city called? Do you know? I don't know if you watch Fearfully Created. I know you don't, Crystal, but she might. Kind of like the area she lives in. That's about where I would want to live. I know she's between like Gatlinburg and Knoxville, I'm pretty sure. But my husband and I always say that if we, got to a point where we had good money, we would go up there and like buy an abandoned resort and open it back up and have like kind of um a mountain resort and have it open for people. And even during the winter we would have like a vehicle that would help them, like we'd have a parking lot down on the bottom of the mountain and be able to track people up and down in a special vehicle designed for snow. Because I know a lot of people don't want to go up in the mountains during the snow time. I personally wouldn't care.
She did seem like she was a native, so probably.
Who?
That girl that almost got us off the cliff.
Oh, was it a girl?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was a girl
It
or
was
guy.
a girl. I think we were at a gas station or something, weren't we? And we asked
Yeah,
for
we
her.
were at a gas station. We were asking for directions to Graceland.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was a girl. So she probably was a true Tennessean. She probably was a native. Seems about right.
Not to mention it was Memphis.
Yeah, and it was
most
dark.
most of the nice people were like in Nashville or more east, so that I've met. And of course, we were driving through Memphis at nighttime, which apparently my dad said it was like a bad time to be in Memphis. So
Yeah.
I was telling him that story, and he's like, "You guys just didn't care, did you?" No, sure didn't.
No, we
Uh,
just wanted to find what were we going? Graceland? Is that where we were going? Like we just wanted to
um,
find it. That was
well,
it.
to we were driving to Arizona, I believe. Or no, that was on the way back, maybe. Where
We
were
were
we going?
we were looking for Graceland, I'm pretty sure.
I know. Well, we were driving through Tennessee though, and we're like, oh, we're gonna pass through Memphis. Let's see if we can find
Yeah, we were
Graceland.
going to Little Rock, I'm pretty sure.
Little Rock was on our way to somewhere,
We were
wasn't
going
it?
to Phoenix.
Okay, so
That
that
was when we
was
were
on
going.
the way.
Yeah, that was on
On
the
the
way to
way to
Arizona.
Phoenix.
That was our Arizona trip.
Okay. Okay.
That's where
We
we were
got lost
going.
in Memphis one day, and my 4-year-old said, "Mommy, stop at the gas station and ask for directions." No, son, I've got 3/4 of a tank left. We ain't stopping here.
Yeah, we didn't find Graceland.
Oh,
We
we
yeah,
we did, remember?
we
On our
we
on our
saw
way
it
back,
on the
on
way
our
back.
way
We saw it. We were like, "Holy crap, there it
on our
is!"
on our way back to find the interstate to go back towards Little Rock,
We
we
just
found
happened to drive by it.
well, we saw the plane first. We're like, "Well, there's the Lisa Marie." And then we looked across, like, literally right across street, and there was Graceland, and I'm like,
Yeah, when we
"Are
weren't
you
looking for
kidding
it.
me?"
Yeah, because we weren't looking for it. We had given up on it. We were like,
Yeah,
"We're never gonna find Graceland," and so boom, there it was.
yeah. And of course, it was nighttime, so it's not like we could go visit, but it's still on my list of places to actually go and visit. But I just and by the way, if you ever want to find the Little Rock in Little Rock, don't bother.
It's not there.
It doesn't exist anymore. They tore it out.
She was so mad.
Yeah, I was very mad because we drove around for God, what 2 hours until we finally asked someone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they ripped that out a long time ago." And,
Yeah.
but now we did find the Designing Women house while we were there, so that was a plus
What
side.
did I say?
Here we are supposed to be talking about jobs, and we're talking about Little Rock.
There's
Oh,
no rock in Little Rock. Oh my god.
there used to be though.
So depressing.
Um, oh, what else can I tell you guys about? There's really no tea to spill about the gas station, really.
No.
Oh, well, actually, there is. If you guys ever thought that gas stations make a lot of money off your gasoline,
No.
they don't. All the money they make is off of the merchandise you buy inside, especially cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes are the biggest cash money thing for gas stations. So if you ever wonder why gas stations usually have the better cigarette deals, it's because the cigarette companies give them the better deals and then they still make a crap ton of money off of you guys buying cigarettes. Just
Mm-hmm.
FYI. Cigarettes is their biggest. And you would think lottery, but honestly, lottery they don't make any money off of. The state
No.
gives them like the state gives the company itself like a I don't know what to call it, but where they can have the machine in the store, but the company doesn't actually make money off of the lottery being bought. They only get money for the machine being in the store, and it's not a lot. And if someone hit like a jackpot or something, the store would get a portion of the proceeds for that. So if you ever win the lottery and you want to know what all the taxes and fees are that they take out, part of that's going to the gas station that the winning ticket came from. And theoretically, they're supposed to split it amongst the employees at that gas station, but I know a lot of gas stations that don't do that. They just keep the money for themselves. So,
Mhm. Yeah, we never got anything.
well, we never had anyone hit the jackpot either. So,
And like, we never had anyone actually win anything. So
we
yeah.
did have a guy that won $10,000 and tried to cash it in at the store. And I'm like, now you got to go downtown for that. He's like, what? I said, I flipped his lottery ticket over and showed him the fine print. He's like, damn it. I was like, I said, what made you think you could come into the gas station at 1 o'clock in the morning and that I'd have $10,000 just sitting here to give to you? I said, you realize I can't even get into the safe to even get $10,000 if we had $10,000 in the store?
Seriously. If there was $10,000 in the safe.
I
Like,
said, you got to go downtown and they're going to give you a check. And then you got to put the check in your um, bank account. So,
like if there was $10,000 in that safe, I would not feel safe.
no, like, I don't know. I had to do a lot of Mike's paperwork, and even I couldn't get into the safe to do that part of his paperwork. So I do all of his paperwork up into the deposit. So, and once I got to that part, I just left all the paperwork right there by the safe so he could finish doing the deposit portion of the paperwork, which still makes me mad that I couldn't be an assistant manager because I had bad credit. That
Mm.
oh, I guess that is some tea to spill. Apparently, at some gas stations, I don't know if it's all of them, but if you have bad credit, like if you have bad credit history, you have a lot of unpaid debts and stuff like that, you can't be a manager or an assistant manager.
Stupid.
One night. Oh, I was like, what's wackety backy? Never mind, I know what you're talking about now. We luckily didn't have anyone trying
I
to
didn't have anything
do
going
that in the
that.
in the store. I mean, outside the store, yeah, but not in the store. We did have someone that, luckily I wasn't working that day. I don't think you were either, but we had someone that wiped poop all over the men's restroom walls.
Ugh.
And poor, God, what was his name? Why can't I think of his name? The old man. You worked with him.
Oh, Mr. Bush is a great man.
No, not that one. The other, the morning old man.
That's who the
No, no, that was
oh,
the one that
okay.
we said always had smelled like he had alcohol in his breath, but he was the night.
Oh,
Why can't I think?
okay.
Why
Now I know.
I can't think of his name, but he was the one that apparently had to clean it off.
Oh,
So I heard about that for
ooh.
days from him. Every morning he'd come in and be like, "You wouldn't believe what happened." French
um,
light papers. Hmm. What is French light papers? I mean, I know what papers are, but I don't think I've ever heard of the French ones.
I don't know. Um, I know like issues that I had were people at the lapel store because that store accepted EBT.
Oh, well, so did the other one.
Not right away,
Oh no, not right away, but it was also in Carmel, so.
but they abused it. Like
Mhm.
I told you how like they would come in and they would get like their 89-cent soda or whatever, and then they would buy lottery and cigarettes and all kinds of other stuff. They come in every day. These people like came in every day.
That's a brand then, Michelle. I mean, I know what rolling papers are because
Yeah.
we sold them at the gas station. But is Wackety Backyard a brand?
Or is it like specifically for like oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh,
But like that's what irritated me. It was like okay, you're on EBT and they would like some of them had kids and this one dude had like a Bluetooth thing in his ear and like every day in lapel. And it's like I know okay, EBT is a and this stuff so it's like I have EBT myself. But it's like every day, every single day. They would come in, they would slap down, they would ask for like a carton of cigarettes or, and then they would buy lottery tickets at a lottery machine. And I'm not talking like the $5 ones, they would buy the $20 ones. They'd slip a $20 bill in the lottery machine, and the machine did not give you cash back.
mhm.
Because Lapel had a machine. It wasn't like where it was at the one in Carmel, because in
Yeah.
Carmel you could buy from the cashier and you got cash back.
And then you have those annoying people who are like, "What number's that on? What number's that on? What
Yeah,
number's that on?" It doesn't matter, dude. You're gonna lose anyway. So.
yeah, yeah. But Lapel had a machine. You put your money in the machine and you had to spend all of it. And you'd see them sticking 20s in there. And so, they're putting $20 bills in the machine. You have to spend the whole 20 because you're not getting cash back. So these people are putting 20s in the lottery machine. They're asking for cartons of cigarettes, and then they're putting down their like 89-cent pop and hand you an EBT card. And it's like, just pay for the pop, dude. Just pay for the freaking pop with cash. Don't put your pop on an EBT card. It's
Yeah.
like, why?
Well, yeah. First of all, you're wasting your time because now you're having to make 2 transactions
Yeah, it was a long
for
transaction in Lapel.
89 cents. I could see if they were coming in and they were buying like chips and stuff like that too, but not for just one drink.
Some people would. There were some people that would actually like add in like a little bit of food, but some people were like cigarettes, lottery, 89-cent soda, and that was it. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? You're
Yeah.
abusing the freaking system. It's like, why are you doing that? You're annoying like the cashiers. You're annoying people like because it was a really slow EBT system in Lapel, like a really slow system because you had to sit there, type numbers in, and wait for it to go through, and stuff like that. And it was like I would roll my freaking eyes, like, "Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? Like
Yeah,
this is
that's
ridiculous."
let's not even get started on that whole thing, because if you want
Buy
my
beer
opinion,
and
and
buy
and
alcohol too.
yeah, and I mean, maybe we could talk about an upcoming episode, but yeah, they people that buy, like, cigarettes and lottery and then still have money, like, still have an EBT, that just one of the biggest things that irritates me, because if you're spending $100 a week on cigarettes, then
Yeah, because it was every. I mean,
next
it was
subject.
bad.
She said next subject.
I mean, I mean, like I said, like I have my own EBT card.
Right, I
So
have nothing against
like
DBT.
I'm not against it's not the fact that they were using EBT. That's not what it was. It's not that they were using EBT. So I'm not against people that have food stamps. It's not what it was. It was just so I don't want anyone to be like, oh my God, why is she going off against EBT? Like, no, it's not the EBT.
Mm, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
not that.
I'm with you, Michelle. It irks me. You can ask Crystal anytime someone, because, well, for one, Crystal and I lived together in Anderson for a while, and I
We
lost
couldn't get
my
on
job.
EBT then. We could not get EBT then,
Right,
and we were struggling.
I lost my job and applied for EBT because, or food stamps, I should say, and it's supposed to be temporary anyway.
Mhm.
And the guy said, "Oh, well, you don't qualify." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, do you have any kids?" I said, "No." And he said, "Yeah, you don't qualify." I said, "So I have to have kids to have food stamps?" He's like, "Well, are you pregnant?" I said, "No." He said, "Do you plan on being pregnant anytime soon?" No. I said, and I straight up looked at him. I said, "So what you're telling me is I need to either be pregnant or have kids to even qualify for government assistance temporarily till I get a job and get back on my feet." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you realize how stupid that sounds?" And he just was like, "I know, but that's the way it is." So, yeah. It mm,
Yeah, that's like, when I was with my mom and everything, and I wanted to get back into school, and,
you see, that would really irk me there too, because
yeah,
yeah,
it's
see,
like
that's what I don't understand. They want you to give up all of your other crap before
yeah,
they'll help you out, and,
yeah,
I
'cause
think at one point someone told Crystal she needed to be homeless before they could help her with something.
that's what I was getting at because I wanted to get back into school and everything, and I was asking, like, like, "What do I need to get back into school?" And they were looking at my stuff and everything, and they were like, "Do you have a job?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, well, we can't help you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "You're working." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How many hours are you working?" I'm like, "Well, it's part time, but I'm wanting to get into a better job, because I'm doing like retail and I want to get a career, so I want to go back to school." And they're like, "Okay, but while you have a job, we can't do anything to help you get into um, financial aid." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "You're telling me I can't have financial aid because I have a job?" And they're like, "Yeah, we can't do financial aid." And I'm like, "So what do I need to get financial aid?" And they're like, "Well, you would have to quit your job." I'm like, "Okay, that's not happening because how would I pay my bills?" It's like I have bills to pay. And so they were basically telling me that I had to quit my job and either, and they asked if I had kids, and I said no. I was like, well, you don't have kids, you have a job, and so we can't help you. And it's like, so I need to go have a kid that I don't want and quit my job and possibly become homeless, and then I can go back to school. Thank you.
Yeah, that right there makes me even madder for you, Michelle, that you had kids at the time. Like, I can see them asking, like, kidless people to have to give up something, even though I don't agree with it. I could see the logic in it at that point. Again, I don't agree with it. But telling someone that has two kids that they need to give up two vehicle or give up their vehicles and jobs and anything else, I just I maybe I'll do a whole episode on the welfare system because I could just bitch about it all day, to be honest with you.
Probably
Excuse
could.
my language.
We probably could.
Um, but
It's
yeah.
messed up. It really is. Like, they do so much for people that don't really need it, the ones that abuse it, and
Mhm.
like the
Oh,
ones.
yeah. So I guess we could tell this story time because it does have to do with work. Because when I worked at Domino's, I delivered a pizza to this lady, and she I don't know what she was thinking at first, but she went and handed me her EBT card. And I said, I don't have anything to swipe that with. Plus, we don't take EBT at Domino's. And she's like, oh, I meant to hand you cash. Okay, well, I guess, how do you, I get my cards mixed up with cash all the time. Sure. So then she went and she got money and she gave me cash for it. She didn't tip me, which was another irritating aspect of it. But I have to tell you, the reason I say this story is because she lived in what I like to call McMansion.
Hmm.
She lived in a gated community, and Kristen, I think you and I went to like an open house in that neighborhood at one point. I don't remember because we used to just go to open houses a lot. That might have been one I did with Amy. But anyway, these houses started at $7,500 or yeah, thousand, that 100,000,
I think it
like
would have been 100,000.
100,000. So $750,000 is what they started at, and that was for hers was like a 3-story McMansion, 3-car garage, had the stone facade. So I can imagine hers was in the millions. But the fact that she had an EBT card and lived in this home, and I'm sitting here driving a car that my parents gave me because it was old and decrepit, and I mean, I'm lucky it ran.
Paula.
But like, it just, I'm sitting there like the nerve of her, for one. Like, you didn't accidentally hand me that card. You wanted to like show me that, I'm sitting here struggling while you have yourself a husband, or well, it wasn't her husband. We later found out because I guess Kurt, this other driver that worked there, he knows all the stories about all the customers. Apparently, she lives with her boyfriend, and they've decided not to get married because she can reap the benefits of the government because they don't count his job against him, because he's technically paying child support to her through the courts. So again, she can collect EBT and TANF and all that other stuff. So she's getting mucho money from the government while her boyfriend is making lots of money because obviously they lived in this McMansion. And
Yeah.
apparently, from what
On
Kirk said,
paper, she has nothing.
yeah,
And so,
right. And it's just not right though, Michelle. I mean, I think if they I just want to know what she had as her address, because there's no way she had the same address as him, because they would have looked at where she was living and been like, there's no way she can afford that with
there's just not enough social workers and everything to check people out, and that's the problem. And it's like, wait, that's where the problem lies.
Well, that, and I'm wondering if maybe she had like her parents' address down, and when she knows she's going to have a meeting or something with the social worker, she goes there.
Yeah,
And like, because they don't do surprise visits like they used to unless there's reports of abuse.
exactly. Like, they
So,
have a reason to go in there.
yeah,
And as long as
unfortunately.
everything's kosher, then they're not gonna just jump in there and be like, "Hey."
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I
if one
used
of
I,
if
I
like
used to
if
want to be a
go ahead,
keep
no, go ahead.
talking. I was going to say I used to want to be a social worker, but uh one of the, I forget which professor we had told me I wouldn't be a good social worker because I'm too emotional. That I'd be keeping all of the kids out of their their homes. And but yeah, we definitely need some. I think if they made social work a trade, like if they had a sort of trade training type of situation for it rather than needing some type of degree, because well, I don't know how it is everywhere else, but in Indiana you had to have a bachelor degree in either criminal justice or you had to have a bachelor degree in sociology to be a social worker.
It's like what I was saying, it's like, like,
Yeah.
they've taken, like, someone like you guys, like, people at your job or whatever that knew what was going on to report her, you know,
Mhm.
to someone, to get to CPS or something like that to get something done.
Right.
You guys
And
know
but
what's going on, you don't say anything, and so she gets to keep doing it.
yeah, but now where the argument there would be like, "Oh, well, I was just picking up my kids from their dad's house."
Mhm. It's like you
So,
need proof that it's actually going on.
yeah.
You can't just go in, like, you can't just call CPS and be like, "Hey, this lady handed me an EBT card for her pizza,
Yeah.
and she was in this huge house."
And
She can just be like, "I was visiting a friend."
yeah. And Michelle, you're right. If we would have done something like that, we would be in jail.
Mhm.
Bec-
That's what it's always like. You see these people, like, running stop signs and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, if that had been me, there would have been a cop,
Right. Every time
you know?
someone breaks the law, I'm like, I look around and I'm like, where's the
Where's the
cops?
cop?
Here
'Cause
I am going 5 miles over the speed limit on a back road and I get pulled over. But by darn George, if not 10 minutes later, some idiot passed me going at least 100 on the back road. But where
Mhm.
was the cop then?
Exactly. It never fails. It never fails. You see someone running a
Mm.
red light, like, where is the police? Where's the police?
And what I'm about to say is gonna sound negative, but it's gonna sound negative. But I feel like I feel like good people tend to get, and excuse my language, we tend to get shit on more than people who don't deserve things.
Mm,
And I
because
don't
of the
also
ones who
I don't necessarily think that it happens to us for what am I trying to say? Because I'm one of those people that
run it
believe
from the
everything happens for a reason. So I feel like maybe we feel like we're getting quote unquote shit on because it's not supposed to be something that we have in our life. And that it's just the only way for the higher beings to tell us, hey, no, this isn't what's meant for you, is to not even give us the chance at it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess so. There's still some things where I'd like to have a little easy way out anyway.
Yeah. Well, I would have liked to have kids, but yeah, everything happens for a reason. I like I if I don't tell myself that, if I don't believe that, I get even angrier about things. So,
Yeah, but you tell me that, and then I get in a really bad mood.
well, it's because you don't listen to me. You don't listen to me that everything happens for a reason.
But you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean. Like,
I
don't
know
get
what you mean.
me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
It's a lesson that we haven't yet learned. Yeah, and I also think that these people out here undermining the government will get their own karma in the future. Because I like in Indiana, they made it to where once your youngest turned 5, like once they started school, you had, I think it was like 3 months to get a job, and because you were going to be off of welfare, no more.
No more WIC, no more
Yeah.
welfare and stuff like that. You like no more popping out kids to get your stuff.
Well, no, they didn't take that away either.
Yeah.
That should have had they should have put a cap on that part because there were a lot of girls going out getting pregnant just to stay on
That
government
is so
assistance.
annoying. Like,
But
girls out there just like getting pregnant to keep their welfare going.
right, but I look at it this way, eventually they're not going to be able to have kids and they're not going to know what to do with their life because they spent their whole life living off the government, and now that they don't have kids to.
I think my sister would have done that, because I honestly think that's because I think she would have if she could have, but she wasn't able to.
Oh wow, I didn't know that Georgia did that. Hmm. Wow. I think all states should do something like that. That if you, I don't necessarily, mm, I don't know. I mean, if they've been on welfare like the entirety of their children's lives, like the first pregnancy through the end of the second pregnancy, then yes, I would agree, fix them. But if it's like,
They would probably have to know that that's what they're doing, though. That
right,
they're doing it for the welfare.
right, but yeah, you know what? I don't mind getting you started. I honestly think this could honestly be a whole episode on its own.
It really could. It really could. Because, like I said, it's like I honestly believe that my sister would have. That if she could have gone out, if she could have had more, that she would have done it.
Yeah.
And back then, back then, well, they stopped WIC after a certain age, so she would have lost that. But because the WIC thing went on for a while, but
All right. So let's move on to something different, and I'm gonna put that down for a future thing where we'll discuss that system and other government programs as well in a future episode.
yeah, because that can be a whole conversation. Even though we've gone into it now, it can still be a
I
whole.
could go even deeper, but yes. Um, so let's see. What should we talk about now? Because there's not really much tea to spill. I guess I could look at my 50 billion jobs and tell you if there's anything you should know about some of them. Oh, Walmart. Let me tell you guys a story real quick about Walmart. And when I worked there, I was 17, and it was, well, I worked there for about 6 months, but let me just tell you about the day I quit. It was New Year's Day. Was it New Year's Day? Yes, it was New Year's Day. And I was scheduled to work that morning. So I went in my normal time. I think it was around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember exactly. Well, as a miner, when you work an 8-hour shift, you are required by law to have two 15-minute breaks and one 30-minute lunch as a miner. It is the law in Indiana. So I only know this because I was a manager later on in life, but if I would have known now, like if I would have known as a teenager what my rights were, it would have been a different story. But anyway, so back to the story. 17 years old. I was working New Year's Day, 8 o'clock. Anyway, first break comes around. No one comes to relieve me. Okay, whatever. Lunchtime comes around. No one comes to relieve me. Whatever. I don't care. I'm not hungry. And it's busy. So when I'm busy, I don't notice things like not having a break or lunch because I'm one of those people I like to stay busy. I think it makes time go by faster anyway. Now third break comes around and I really have to pee at this point. So the um, manager or customer service person, whatever they're called, the yellow vested person comes over and she said, I thought she was coming over to give me a break. She said, "Hey, I was wondering if you could stay and work a couple extra hours because so and so called off." And I'm like, "Okay, well, how many hours are you thinking?" Because I wanted to know about how much longer I was going to be there. And she said, "Maybe like 3." And I said, "Okay, well, can I go pee?" And she's like, "What?" I said, "I just need to go pee real quick. Can you watch my register?" And the register they put me on was like literally 2 registers away from the one right in front of the bathroom anyway. So it's not like it was going to take me that long to run to the bathroom and back. I said, I haven't used the bathroom all day. I really need to go to the restroom." And she looked at me like weird and she said, "Why haven't you gone to the bathroom all day?" I said, "Well, you never came and gave me a first break. You never came and gave me a lunch. I thought you were coming to give me my last break." I said, "I just need to pee." And she's like, "I don't have anyone to cover you right now. Can you hold it?" I just told you. I looked at her and I was ringing customers up while this whole thing was going down. So these people heard me talking to her about this because, it's not like I'm going to whisper. They're right there. So I'm just like, I said, "No, I really can't hold it." I said, "So why can't you just stand here and finish ringing these customers up while I run to the restroom real quick and come back?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "I can't do that. I have other, people I have to relieve and stuff like that." I said, "You know what?" I just got so fed up. I said, "You know what?" I sit there and reach in my pocket because let me backstory a little bit here. My purse got stolen out of my locker right before Christmas. So all my Christmas money, everything got stolen. Couldn't buy Christmas presents for my family. So anyway, back to New Year's Day, I had my keys, my wallet in my pocket because I was like, F it. They weren't going to look into who stole my purse any further. I wasn't going to bring a purse anymore. So I took those things out of my pockets. I set them down on the counter in front of me real quick. I took my vest off and I threw it on the counter, picked my crap up, hit some buttons to sign off the register, and it said, "Now you're going to have to." And I walked out. So, and the reason I didn't go back to clock out is because they'll just look at what time I signed off of the register to clock me out. And that's what they did. So, so but everyone in that line that knew what was going on, they were just like, "Yeah! Woo!" Of course, that meant, most of them probably had to go to a different line because the line was backed up. If you guys know what a Walmart is, so my line was like right in front of women's clothing. So my line was backed up all the way into women's clothing. So that's how busy we were this day. First of all, there's no good deals on New Year's Day. There's still not good deals on New Year's Day. So why are you going to Walmart on New Year's Day? I never understood that. But I know for a fact it was New Year's Day because I didn't stay up on New Year's Eve because I had to wake up early. So, but yeah, that's my Walmart story and how horrible of a company they are.
Well, they're known for being bad to their employees.
Not all of them. Apparently, they treat some people like gold. And I just never understood how they picked and choose who they liked the best.
I don't.
Like
I'm
I'm telling you, if you treat me right, I would stay with you, the company forever. That's all I gotta say. I'm a loyal person. So if you treat me right, I'm staying with you forever. Well, minus the vet clinic because we moved like an hour away. So it just turned into not being economical to drive to it anymore. Otherwise, I would have still worked at the vet clinic when we moved to Haines City. Now we live 3 hours away. It's funny because she's still my dog's vet. I drive 3 hours to take him to the vet. Obviously, if it's an emergency, I would take him somewhere else, but I drive 3 hours to take him to the vet because if you guys don't know, even Crystal doesn't know Stitch, but he doesn't like people. And so I'm not going to sit there and try to introduce him to someone new. I'd rather him just go to who he knows. I think it'd be less stress for him as well. Now, if we ever move out of the state of Florida, that would obviously have to change because I'm not going to drive to from a different state to go
Yeah,
to
I
take
know
him.
you're working at the vet place because you sent me stuff for Pesh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it before so no one thinks I'm sending you like things you need a prescription for. I sent her dewormer, which you can buy off of Amazon. So, um, nothing illegal, nothing you get that could get my boss fired, by the way. Or not fired, but delicensed. So I just wanted to put that out there because some of the stuff uh, you definitely need to have prescription for, but dewormer is not one of those things.
You have to let me know what you sent me though, because
Yeah,
she
that's what I sent you, dewormer.
okay, because she goes outside and it's like she bugs out of me when she.
You just have to be careful, make sure she's not around other cats because that's the
There's
easiest way for
always
her.
other cats out there because they keep mating underneath the porch.
Well, I'm just saying you don't want her to have contact with them because they're wild cats and they could possibly carry feline leukemia. And if she gets that, there's no cure for it.
I know. I try to keep her away from them
Of course,
so
you
that I don't have any interaction.
like I. What is? No, I could agree with you on black eyed peas, but I don't like collard greens.
I haven't had collard greens since I was in Washington State.
My dad loves collard greens, but none of his kids liked them, so he didn't eat them very often growing up. Let's see. Let me look here. Steak and Shake. I can tell you my husband worked at Steak and Shake too when he was younger, so I can kind of tell you a story about him. So, you guys obviously don't know my husband, but he does not like pickles. He does not like the smell of pickles, nothing pickle related. And when he worked at Steak and Shake, I guess the pickles they had came in a bucket. When I worked at Steak and Shake, they came in a bag and you just cut the bag and dumped them into the pan. But when he worked at Steak and Shake, they came in a bucket. And they told him to go back and pan up pickles. And he told them, no, I can't do that. He tried to tell him, I will literally get sick from the smell of pickles. And they basically said they don't care. And before I finish this, I just want to throw out there if you eat at Steak and Shake, please note that all Steak and Shakes hopefully don't do this. So he said he went back. He started to pan up pickles. He got maybe 4 pickle pans done. And he started feeling nauseous. And he thought he could handle it. So he kept panning pickles. But out of nowhere, he just threw up in the pickle bucket.
I knew about that story.
So
Ew.
you would think, okay, he threw up in the pickle bucket, throw that bucket of pickles away. No, they told him to put it in a colander, rinse them off, and pan them up.
Mm-hmm.
He did not do that. He said he threw them away. He took his apron off. He clocked out, and he walked across the street to Wendy's and got a job there. So that's a Steak and Shake story. When I worked at Steak and Shake, I was a waitress, and I worked there for a month, and they never took me off the wall. And what I mean by the wall is I don't know how if all Steak and Shakes are laid out, but my Steak and Shake there was a wall, and it had two tables, like really two-seater tables. No one sat there. So I spent most of my time doing everyone else's prep work because I didn't have anyone to wait on. And so I quit. I actually left Steak and Shake and went to Wendy's too, which is so ironic because my brother worked at Steak and Shake. That's why I went to Steak and Shake, because my older brother worked there. And he was a manager, but he wasn't the manager, but he got me an interview with the manager, and the manager only said, well, I don't know if he only hired me for this, but he said he was going to hire me because my name is Melissa, and that was his wife's name. I was like, okay. But so Wendy's, oh, there was a thing about Wendy's that people find icky. All their meat at the end of the day, because when meat has been in the warmer too long, they put in another pan. And that pan goes in the cooler and it gets chopped up. And that is, in fact, the meat they use in the chili. I don't know why people think this is icky. It's not used meat, it's just meat that they couldn't sell anymore because it passed its warmer expiration. Because any fast food restaurant you go to has warmers that they put the food in, and they can only be in the warmers for so long or they start drying out. So
Yeah.
this meat was not dried out. Like, you could still eat it. It was still edible. But if they would have left it in the warmer any longer, it would dry out. Once it got dried and like puck like, it had to go in the garbage. We couldn't even use it in the chili. So the chili meat is leftover hamburger meat. Very rarely did Wendy's, at least the one I worked at, ever had to make fresh meat. There were times, especially during the winter, we would have to make fresh chili meat because we would have to do a second batch of chili. So it just, I don't know why people find that icky, but I figured I'd share that that is in fact the truth.
Congress.
And but it's not the puck chili. It's not like the really, or puck chili, the puck burgers. It's not the really dried out stuff. It's just stuff that's like literally right. And they, as soon as they take it out of the warmer thing, they let it cool to room temperature and put it in the cooler. So it's not even sitting out at room temperature all day either. So exactly. It's no different from fridge stew. I've made fridge stew before. It's no different than that. But I don't know why people just always assume everything has to be fresh. I mean, I guess another Steak and Shake thing is that most everything in the Steak and Shake chili is pre-measured and comes in cans. I don't know why they just don't make it a can of chili where you just dump it in the thing, but no, it's like the can of broth and the can of beans, the can of this, but it's all pre-measured. And so are the spices. So it's like a bag of spices, and you just dump everything in and stir it up, and then you add the meat. And the meat's the same way as Wendy's. It is leftover burger meat that they put in the chili. What else can I spill? I can't really spill anything on Payless shoes. They don't exist anymore.
My mom used to cook that way where she would empty out a fridge.
Okay, so this one's not really any tea to spill, just kind of a common courtesy thing. If you ever go to Universal Studios, we know you're hot and miserable because it's Florida and it's hot and miserable here. But don't take it out on the food workers, because trust me, they're just as hot and miserable as you are, because there's hardly any air conditioning in the kitchen section of the restaurants. Most of the air conditioning is in the dining room section, and they don't get that luxury. Even the ones behind the counter in front of those heat lamps are hot and miserable. My favorite part about working at Universal Studios was when I got to work in the turkey leg booth. And it was outside, but I had these two giant fans blowing on me at all times, and I was the only one there. So I didn't have to worry about anyone else taking my air. It was great. Well, I'm a loner, so I liked being alone anyway. So I hate being like around a bunch of, I know that sounds bad, working at a theme park and saying I hate working around a bunch of
I hate
people, but
people. I hate
I
people.
d- Shoney's uses strawberry. Ooh, I didn't. Thanks for spilling that tea. I didn't know that.
Ew. Oh no. I don't think we have a Shoney's here.
No. Well, we have one in Orlando. I loved working at Universal Studios, but I got pneumonia, and most likely we think it's because, no shade, Universal, some shade, but not really. They make their employees walk from, like, well, the park I worked in, or the park section I worked at, I had to park in where the guests park, but there's an employee section in the guest parking. I had to park there, go through costuming in that area because they call it costumes. I had to get my costume on and walk through, what is that stupid thing called? City Walk, and then into the park. So if it was pouring rain, I would go through City Walk in the pouring rain. Even with a poncho, I was getting soaked. Even with an umbrella, I was getting soaked. And we would go from the rain straight into the cold, air conditioned building because I didn't work in the kitchen. I did work behind the heat lamps for a while, but going from hot to cold to hot, is what they think caused the pneumonia in my lungs. So I ended up getting pneumonia. I was in the hospital, and when I got out, my dad basically told me to come home, and so I went back to Indiana. But I did like working there, and I think if they would have left me in the turkey leg booth, I would have stayed there forever because I liked working there. Or if they would have put me on a different thing, like a ride or something instead of food service. I didn't want food service, but at that time, if you looked at my work history, most of it was in food service. So that's what they went off of. So, which is stupid. I told them I wanted to work retail, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Um,
So I've been like, I don't know. I keep hearing Domino's like everything. Like I get on TikTok, I see Domino's. I get on YouTube, I see Domino's. And you're talking about working at Domino's. So it seems like I'm like destined to have Domino's at some point. So can you like, should I be eating Domino's or is it bad?
Domino's is fine. Domino's, honestly, out of all the pizza places, I've never worked for Papa John's, so I can't speak for them, but I worked for Pizza Hut. Um, so out of the two that I've worked at, I would eat Domino's over Pizza Hut because their dough is fresh, never frozen. So,
There we go. Thank you.
oh, so I guess that is a fun fact. If any of you guys were wondering, uh, Domino's dough is fresh dough, never frozen. So you don't have to worry. The only thing that wasn't even, I don't even call it fresh. I mean, we had it in the refrigerator section until we need it, but it was the thin crust pizzas, and I don't like thin crust pizza, but it might as well just be a cardboard. So
I
I
don't
mean,
like thin crust, and you know that. So
yeah, it's like a cracker almost, but it's like a soft cracker that needs to be cooked a little more, if that makes any sense. But that's how the thin crust comes. But their dough is um fresh, never frozen. And if you ever go into a Domino's, I don't know if they still do it this way, but ours came in different colored trays. So we had medium and we had large. Um, we did have small pizzas, but the small pizzas they just cut a large in half. I'm pretty sure is what we did. It was either a large in half or a medium half. I can't remember. But the dough, like the actual dough ball before you stretch it out and everything. And we didn't sell that many smalls, so that's why we didn't order small dough because I know one of the stores that the guy owned, They did order small dough, and it came in a red tray, I believe. Um, but they sold to like schools and stuff. They did a lot of school orders, so teachers were ordering a bunch of small individual because they were small pizzas, but they weren't individual. So I don't know how to work that up, but it's like between a individual size and a medium. Because like I'm pretty sure an individual is like 4 inches and a medium is 8. So it would probably been around 6 inches. I don't know because we didn't sell a lot of them, so I didn't pay attention. I think we sold like 2 since the whole time I worked there. Um, but yeah, fresh, never frozen dough. Um, I'm trying to think if we actually did any other prep because I'm pretty sure all the vegetables came pre-cut, pre-packaged. So all we had to do was cut them and dump them. I know the meat did. The meat came pre-cut, pre-packaged. But again, nothing frozen. Everything comes in fresh. The Domino's I worked at, we got a truck every day. Sometimes it was just dough, sometimes it was other things. So we knew because we don't we only have so much room in the walk-in, so you can't over order. So you just kind of got to look at. That's why they always tell you if you're going to have a large order to call in advance. And when they say advance, they're not meaning the day before. They're talking like 2 or 3 days before because they need time to make sure they have all the stuff you need in. Because I know one time we had a school call like the day before and they're like, hey, we need 50 large pizzas for tomorrow. And my brother was like, you're going to have to let me call a couple stores and see if I can get some stuff because it's already too late for me to put that stuff in for my truck tomorrow. And we ended up having to call. We were able to do the order in the long run, but he told the guy, yeah, if you can call 2 or 3 days in advance next time, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
So same thing, like any place you go, if you're working for a school or a business or anything like that and you have a large order, don't go in the day of and like McDonald's. Let's just do McDonald's because it was like that at Taco Bell too, but mainly McDonald's because usually on field trips they always took you to McDonald's for some reason. If you do not call the McDonald's and let them know, hey, we're coming back from a field trip or we're doing so and so on a field trip and we're going to be stopping, don't be shocked that they don't have enough food prepped for you guys because you did not notify them in advance and we're caught off guard because you're pulling in with a bus full of students and we're sitting here dropping thousands of fries and nuggies and filling
Our
the
teacher's
grill
always called
up.
in advance.
Do what?
My teacher's always called in advance.
Right. We most for the most part they called in advance, but we had a couple that would just show up and then they got mad that they had to wait. They're
Can't
like,
believe you don't have our food ready.
we literally came to McDonald's because we figured it would be the fastest, but I could have just went to Arby's and I'm like, probably should have. But but yeah. See, Michelle, the people that worked in like Harry Potter Land or all the other ones in the back, they went into a different section through a different costuming section, and they did have shuttles to take them to their lands. But the people that worked up, like I worked in the not Universal, Marvel area, which is weird. I wonder if it's still Marvel area because Marvel's owned by Disney now. So that's weird because I know the Incredible Hulk is still at Universal Studios. Anyway, that's a different day, different topic, different day. But yeah, we didn't get shuttles from there. Oh yeah, that's rude too. It's rude. So rude. Um, I worked somewhere else, and I'm trying to think of where it was. I'm looking at my list here and I'm like, no, that doesn't sound
What,
right.
what's your thing? Maybe I can tell you.
It was that large order and they didn't call in advance. And no, it wasn't McDonald's. It might have been Wendy's.
I saw this one. Was it Wendy's or Taco Bell?
Um, we did have an order once when I worked at Taco Bell. They called me at like 11 o'clock at night. We were open until 2 a.m. And they were like, hey, we're going to be leaving a concert soon and we're having an after party at my house. Can I come by and get 100 soft tacos? And I said, what time are you planning on being here for that? I said, because you realize we close at 2 o'clock and after 10 o'clock we shut down to half product. Oh, I didn't realize that. How hard would it be for you to make enough stuff for 100 tacos? And I said, that's why I'm asking you how long until you're going to be here, because I can put more meat in the warmer, but it takes about an hour. And she's like, oh no, we're leaving the concert now. It's going to be about 30 minutes. And I said, I can't do it for you. I can't have 100 tacos in 30 minutes. I just don't have the product right now. If you were coming in an hour, I could do it because I need to put meat. And fun fact, I will spill this tea. I don't know if Taco Bell's changed it yet, but I think it's called like sous vide. Sous vide. Is that what it's called? Where you put stuff in the water to cook it? Like in the bags? Sous vide?
I, I don't know.
Anyway, Taco Bell's meat, all of their meat, their beef, their chicken, I think that's all they got. It comes in bags. They put them in this water bath thingy. It cooks in there, and we fill that thing up, and it sits in there because it doesn't get overcooked in those. It's basically just warming it up because it's already cooked. Um, so we fill that thing up all for the whole day. So we look at our projections basically from the previous year, and that's how much we drop. And around 7 o'clock is when the night manager decides if they need to drop more meat, if they think they're going to have enough for the rest of the night. But um, yeah, Taco Bell's meat comes in a bag, and their beans are dry and just mixed with scalding hot water. And I'm trying to think what else people. Oh, cinnamon twists. Fun fact. All you need is the rotini noodles and some oil. Drop those suckers in, they'll puff up, add cinnamon and sugar to it. You got yourself a cinnamon twist. I only know this because we had to go to the store and buy buy rotini noodles one time because our truck was late and we needed cinnamon twist. So I got sent over to Marsh. That's back when Marsh was still open and a thing. And I had $100. They told me to buy $100 worth of noodles. So the other thing is, I don't know why. Well, I know why now, but because this manager just gave me $100 cash. I was a manager at the time too, but um, what was I saying? Oh, she gave me cash instead of the store card, and I couldn't figure out why she would have done that. I later figured out it's because she was embezzling money, and technically we weren't supposed to go and get rotini noodles because people aren't supposed to know that they're rotini noodles. But also, I know Big Mac sauce is not technically Thousand Island dressing, but their ingredients are so close together that you can use Thousand Island dressing as Big Mac sauce. And the only reason I know this is because, fun fact, when I worked at McDonald's, we ran out of Big Mac sauce, and guess what? My boss told me to go buy Thousand Island dressing, and no one said one damn word. No customer said anything about it. We just put Thousand Island dressing on those burgers until we got our truck in. So, again, I know they're not the exact same thing, but if you look at the ingredient list and the recipe for Big Mac sauce and the ingredient list and recipe for Thousand Island dressing, they are almost identical. Well, she left, and I was about to say I have to go because it's already 4 o'clock, and I have to go to Hobby Lobby before Justin gets off work.
She said be right back.
I know. So, oh, she might be back now. Are you back? Hello. Hello. Can you save me? Start singing. Whoever was left, they're like, oh, hell no. This bitch.
We're gonna make her leave.
She's starting to sing, so
It's time to go.
it's time for me to go. Well, no, she said she'd be right back. I don't want to leave and
You bored her to death.
what?
Said we bored her to death.
Well, we are talking now, going on 3 hours, and I don't think we did that last time, did we? I don't know how long it was last time.
We stopped it at 2 last time.
It was shortly after 2, yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for Michelle to come back, we'll just go ahead and talk about next week's episode and the topics and stuff like that. So next week, and I meant to say this at the beginning for the people who are going to watch part of it but not watch the whole 3-hour episode. But next week we are going to be discussing the Mandela effect and conspiracy theories. That's the plan. We might only get Mandela effects done and have to do conspiracy theories a different day, but we'll see. I'm thinking we should be able to get through the Mandela effects pretty quickly because I think almost everyone knows what a Mandela effect is, and they probably heard of most of the ones we're going to be discussing. So I think we should be able to do the conspiracies as well. So anyway, my point is, if you have any Mandela effects or conspiracy theories that you'd like to share, you can leave them always down in the comments. You can send me a private message. I don't know how you do that on YouTube, but I'm sure we can figure it out. You can always go to the Facebook page, which is linked in the description, and you can leave me a message on Facebook Messenger there. You can hit me up on Instagram, leave me messages there. I do occasionally check that. I have notifications turned on, so if you leave me a message there, it will notify me. I'm trying to think. Where else? Again, and you can always leave them in the comments. That's no big deal. And it doesn't matter if it's on this video or my next video or whatever. I do read all of my comments. So even I think if I ever got bit too big for my britches, I'd still read all the comments.
Loving it. You did the McDonald's jingle, so I said I'm loving it.
Oh. All right. Also, I guess while we're waiting still, I can go ahead and discuss. I mentioned this in a previous vlog, but I am going to be doing a giveaway for once we hit 500 subscribers. I don't know what the giveaway is going to be yet. Again, I said I haven't figured it all out because my big giveaway is going to be at 1,000 subscribers. So I want to do a halfway there giveaway. So it's obviously not going to be like a big thing. It's going to be something small. It won't be anything less than like a $25 gift card. That'd be like the smallest I would go. But it's just going to depend on how my life is at that point in time. So, and it could be that if you win, you can just tell me, hey, I'll tell you, hey, I can either do a $25 gift card to the place of your choice, or I can do a surprise thing, like just go to Home Goods or Walmart or something and buy you like a random things that I think you would like, or something along those lines. But I just want to do some sort of giveaway for you guys, and then when I get to 1,000 subscribers will be the major giveaway, because I'm planning on not going as hardcore as Kim from the Wands, but I plan on doing kind of like some items that I mail to you guys plus a little cash. So that's what she does. Obviously, she usually gives like $100 or more in cash. I ain't got that kind of money. I don't make money from YouTube. So I still want to show my appreciation and do a giveaway, but please don't expect Kim from the Wads level, because I'm not there yet. She makes a lot of money off of YouTube, and no hate to her. I respect everyone. That makes, I had another thought too, and I'm probably going to say it here and I'll say it in a future video too. But I have a lot of respect for people who get on here and do their thing. Because I'm going to be so rude about this, but the Dad Challenge podcast always makes comments about how this isn't work and that people need to stop calling it a job. How can I say this without being mean? I don't agree with him, because just doing this segment, the Let's Get Real segment, I would say my cleaning videos are so much easier to do because I just voice over them. So yeah, I think that if you don't do any editing, like I don't want to say names, but some of the YouTubers, we know who they are, that don't edit at all. You can tell they make
You can tell when people don't work.
Right.
You can tell
But
when people don't
but
put
they make millions of dollars off of YouTube, and they don't do anything but point and shoot, like YouTube used to be. So I'm not really hating on them per se, but I wouldn't call what they do work, because they're not editing, they're not putting any music or anything to their videos. They literally just point and shoot and upload. Which again, no hate to this. Some of y'all might know who it is, especially if you watch the Dad Challenge podcast, but all this person does is literally hold a camera and film things, or sometimes they hold it like this, and or like this, so you see up their nose. But but this, like, planning out these episodes and everything, I put a lot of work into them. Like, I honestly have been slacking on my normal videos because I've been working so hard on these videos. And the first one was not very organized, granted. Neither is this one. Is more organized, actually. I think we did really good until we kind of ran out of talking about jobs, and then we started discussing other things. But it's like a podcast almost, people. So we're going to go off topic and start discussing other things because we're interacting with you guys. And sometimes when we answer a question for you guys, it goes off topic a little and we start discussing something else. And it's just inevitable. It's going to happen because this is not set up to be like a normal episode. It's set up to be sort of like podcast style, if that makes sense. So, yes, while we do have topics and we try to stick to them as much as we can, we still want to engage with you guys. So that's why I do encourage you, because I know some of you watched this after the fact. I do encourage you guys, if you can, to join the lives. I left a poll for people to see what time works best for them. I've only had one person answer that poll. And so this is why we kept it at the same time, because this was the time they picked. And so what's going to happen is, if more of y'all go and answer the poll, it's going to be majority rules. Obviously, there are some exceptions. If you answer the other and you type in and tell me you want to do it at 5 o'clock at night, I'm going to have to decline you, because 5 to 9 is the time I spend with my husband. So those are not open hours. I could come on 10 o'clock at night and we can talk until 2 in the morning. I don't care. But, you know, until we get more people involved and I have more people giving input, it's going to stay at 1 o'clock. So, unless Michelle says otherwise, because Michelle and our little gingerbread house have been the only two people that really said anything in the chat. So, if they tell me they would rather me come on at 10 o'clock at night, then I'll come on at 10 o'clock at night, whatever's more convenient for them. Because we're trying to be here for you guys. Like, we don't work. And I try, I do have to talk to you when we're done with this because we're going to have to postpone one of them probably. I just thought about that. But I'll talk to you off camera about that. Oh my Lord. Freaking family chat. But yes, so
I miss those. I don't get involved in anything anymore. No one loves me.
Yeah, well, it's because you moved away to where you can't even come to family functions anymore.
No one involves me with anything. You're sad.
Hey, I was going to invite you to Caitlin's graduation, but I told her you wouldn't have money to get there, so. And you wouldn't have. So don't even try to lie that you would have. What was I saying?
You're talking about how, like, you want to involve the channel more and have
Right.
people, like, knowing
So,
more what people can do and when they can be here.
right. So eventually, like, what I think we both would like for this channel is to eventually turn into more of a come and chat with us sort of situation where we don't necessarily have to put as much work in trying to come up with topics and stuff like that, where we can have more of a just let's get on and shoot the crap sort of situation.
We want the audience to tell us what to talk about.
Right. We want to have live interactions, which is why we do this live, because otherwise we could sit there and be like, oh, let's talk about our past jobs and everything, and let's just make a video of it, and we could do a sit down video or something of some sort on Zoom or something, and then I just post it. But we want to try to get you guys more involved in the conversations, and like today where we were talking about our jobs and then we kind of veered off and started talking about other stuff, you know. That's kind of like how we would want it to be. We wouldn't want to go with, you know, what the comments are saying with like how the topics are going. We want to make it like a community thing. That's the whole point around Let's Get Real, because we want to be real about things, you know. Granted, most of y'all don't think the Mandela effect, well, I don't want to say most of y'all. Some of y'all might not think the Mandela effect is real or believe in conspiracy theories, but here's my thing about conspiracy theories is that everything is a conspiracy theory to someone. So even what we would see as truth, someone else sees that as this conspiracy. You ever one of those days you just want to take your phone and throw it? Anyway, so I think we're going to have to go ahead and end it because it's 10 after and I really have to get changed and go to Hobby Lobby. So we're just not going to be able to wait for her anymore. All right, so I guess we're going to go ahead and thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up. Comment any questions, concerns, topic ideas, whatever, down below in the comments. What did you say?
I said topic ideas.
Yeah. Down in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. I guess we'll see you guys next week. And remember, we're going to be talking about the Mandela effect and conspiracy theory. So come prepared to argue your point. I don't necessarily know if we're going to tell you our views on the conspiracy. Well, two of them for sure. I don't care if you know my views on. So I specifically picked ones I didn't care if you guys knew my views on. I don't know how Crystal feels about the ones she picked, if she wants to share her views on it or not. But
Some of them, yeah. I mean,
for the most part, my synopsises are just going to be on the theories themselves, and maybe at the end of each theory, I will go in and tell what I think. So we'll see. Depends on how much hate, negativity you guys are giving me. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
bye.
Bye.